Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Sharifa and my poetry name is New Lily. If you're new to my channel, please check out the important video links located in the description box as well as in a pinned comment in the comment section. In those areas, you can find links to different videos that contain pertinent information for targeted individuals. Also, you can find links that lead to videos telling what started my targeting. There are 3 different options that you can choose from. Sorry guys, my nose is stuffy. I'm at work. But there are 3 different options that you can choose from. You can choose my full story video, which is a 7-part, 12-hour video compilation where I sat there and not only told you what started my targeting in 2020, but I also talked about the backdrop story because I've been through some sort of spiritual battle from my early 20s up until now, age 32. So you can check out my full story if you have the time, y'all. It's an interesting story, and you'll get the gist of not only what started my targeting, but again, you'll also hear the backdrop story because there are also other things that I've been through that kind of started to manifest itself in my targeting. So please, if you have the time, check out the full story. Even if you have to watch it in parts, because that's really what's meant to happen. It's not meant to be watched in one sitting. Anyways, if you don't have the time or patience to watch the full story, you can check out the 2 other video options that I have there that tells what started my targeting. There's a commentating over a clip video where I'm sorry y'all, I'm at work. Remember, for those of you that have been keeping up with my videos, I started doing security a few months ago, right? Towards the end of last year. And so I'm still trying to get acclimated to being up all night, and so it's if you can look up in the upper left-hand corner, you'll see it's 3:37 a.m. So I am tired, y'all, but still trying to do this video. And this is actually my 3rd attempt at making this video because they did not want me to post this video. The first video I made was at work last night, or you could say this morning, technically. I say night because the sky is dark, but like at these wee hours of the morning, I made this video, right? 3 hours and change, I sat there and I put together this comprehensive presentation documenting a weird dream that I had, right? Not last night, but was it last night? It was not last night, it was night before last. Documenting a weird dream that I had and what the incidents that preceded the dream. And I just broke down this false narrative that was brewing up. I could feel it brewing up that they were trying to run with because of that dream. Dream manipulation, right? This is my part 3 dream manipulation video. That's what this is. And so I sat there for 3 hours and change, right? Just doing this low presentation, providing evidence, articulation, refutation of, again, the things that happen when you're in this program. And whenever I do that and I can bust on a narrative that they're trying to run with, they will stop at nothing to stop me from being able to do so. They have lied on me. I told you already, they've struck my video down with bogus reasons. There are 2 different videos, and I've showed y'all these videos already, where they have actually struck my video down and said that I was talking about vaccines when I didn't mention vaccines not once in neither of those videos. The agenda video, if you check out my recent videos, you'll see it. And then also the video with the thumbnail of the man bending over with the short pants. And it says stimulus used to sensitize me. Both of those videos, y'all, I knocked down 2 things that they love to weaponize against me in this program. I was able to knock those things all the way down, and they did not like that. They did not like that, y'all. And so they made sure to try to knock that video down quick and in a hurry. And they flagrantly lied and said I was talking about vaccines, and I had to appeal both videos and get the video posted again, both of them. And so that's the same thing with this video. I told y'all that's what they do. They'll either lie and come up with a bogus reason to strike the video down if what I'm saying makes too much sense and I can knock down a narrative they're trying to run with, or they'll do what they've been doing recently, what they did to me night before last. Reason why this is my 3rd attempt, they'll start making the technology glitch. And so the video will not work. Let me show y'all what they did. Let me show y'all. Well, it's not even showing you now at this point, the video. As you guys can see that video right there where that has the slash through it, before it was showing you the amount of hours, right? It was saying 3 hours and 19 minutes. I had to stop the whole app, force stop it to get it to start working again. I just realized that's what I needed to do when they start making it glitch, and start messing with it a lot. And this is how I got it to start working again. But this is what, you can't see how long this video was, but this is what it's doing. It's saying unsupported media. Understand that this video was 3 hours and 19 minutes long. And I'm low-key grateful in a way. I'm trying to be positive about the whole thing because the video is way too long. I really try hard not to have super long videos, y'all. My full story videos are long, and that's just because that could not be avoided. There are too many details, and I couldn't condense it any more than what I did. But typically, I try my hardest, y'all, to make my videos no longer than an hour and a half. So I was kind of feeling, skeptical about how long it was, but it was so well put together, the video, y'all. I'm so annoyed that they took that video down, and I know why they did it too, because they wanted to run with another narrative and try to create, like what they do, and smear my name, create something out of my response to their abuse. Anyways, hold on a minute, y'all. Let me hop back over to YouTube. I sound exasperated, y'all, because like I said, this is take 3 of me attempting to do this. Earlier at the house, I attempted to do this video again. I spoke for a whole hour and a half, got halfway through the video, the creation of the video, and then realized again that the technology was glitching. But thank goodness I realized before I did the whole thing this time. So anyways, that's what's going on, y'all. Let me finish with my intro. Those of you that are not new to my channel, you can kind of like fast forward to this part. I'm just doing that intro that I always do at the beginning of all of my videos, where I talk about the important links that are in the description box in the comment section. And as I've said before, the reason I do that is because I never know if that video that I'm creating will be the first video that someone new to my channel sees. And so this is why it may sound redundant, but this is why I repetitively repeat the same intro in all of my videos. Because I never know, like I said, if that's going to be the first video that a new target or somebody new views for my channel. So just for the sake of clarity, I always like to do that introduction so that they can be aware of the things I'm talking about. They can be aware of the scenarios that I'm referencing that I've talked about in prior videos, the terminology I'm using, because I do use targeted individual jargon. Just for the sake of clarity, y'all, that's why I do it. So anyways, you can fast forward through this one. I'm actually almost done. So if you're at if you're at this point, you may as well just stick around and listen. But I'm almost done with the intro. So like I was saying, y'all, 3 options where you can hear my story. So I talked about the full story option. The second one is the commentating over a clip video. And what I did was I went into the full story video, fast forwarded to the part where I talked about what started my targeting in 2020. And I did a screen recording of that part of the video, and I provided commentary over it. It's more up to date. It's more in depth than the third option that I'm about to talk about. So if you don't listen to the full story, I would actually recommend that you listen to this one, the commentating over a clip video, rather than the next option I'm about to mention. The third option is the summary video. And I created that around the time that I created the full story, midway through last year. The commentating over a clip video was created 3 months ago. So that's why I said it's more up to date. And I just go in depth and elaborate on some of the things that I talked about. So for the summary option, y'all, it's about the same length as the commentating over a clip video. And I just summarized what started my targeting in 2020. And I briefly referenced some of the backdrop details that I included in the full story. So it's basically the same thing like the commentating over a clip video, just less details, a little less detailed, and it's not as up to date. So if you don't have time to watch the full story again, I would recommend you watch the commentating over a clip video. And then other video options that tell more things about my story, y'all. Underneath those 3 video options I just referenced is a video titled Part 1, Gaslighting and Programming of the Targeted Individual Video. And in that video, I talk about what caused my targeting to go viral in 2022. My targeting started in 2020, y'all. I stayed here on island for 2 years. I was a teacher and I was also a security guard. And when the targeting got bad enough, and I thought it was bad enough. I thought that was bad. I really majorly regret leaving. The reason I do is because I didn't know that this was a program and I didn't know that it would follow me. And so my leaving and not knowing that the thing would follow me and then having the reactions I had was detrimental to me and my targeting. It caused it to go viral. It caused the targeting to worsen. So things are much worse than what it was before I left Island, much worse. I mean, it's better than what it was when I got back. When I first got back, things were really bad. It's better now, but still now what's happening now is worse than what was happening before I tried to relocate off Island. Anyways, y'all, it's just really crazy. This whole thing has been so crazy over a text message. It's madness. But anyway, so let me tell y'all what happened, right? In that video. In that video, I'm just talking about, like I said, what happened when I tried to relocate in 2022. So I stayed down here for 2 years after the targeting started in 2020. And then summer of 2022, I decided to resign from my jobs. I saved up 4,000. I was trying to relocate. And so as I tried to relocate, y'all, the thing followed me. I had like 3 different egregious reactions, I guess you could say, to it following me. And those reactions caused the targeting to go viral. I give details about every reaction that I had in the mainland in the United States when I tried to relocate that caused the targeting to go viral. It was reactive abuse, y'all. I don't stand by, some of the things that I said out of anger in response to what was happening to me. But that's what happened. I said some things out of anger. I shared some offensive Hebrew Israelite propaganda. I had a run-in with a police officer because I ran a stop sign in Indiana. What else happened? There was an incident with a homeless man on the Greyhound bus. That was a reaction as well because it was something that happened prior to that moment in the Greyhound station. So I give details, y'all, about what was going on when I tried to leave. I give vivid details about it. So check out that video if you have the time. My gaslighting and programming of the targeted individual part 1 video. I sat there and I gave every more details than I gave in my targeted individual videos. What caused my targeting videos? I give more details in that part 1 gaslighting video about what happened when I tried to leave than I do in any of my other videos. So if you have the time, please check that video out as well, y'all. Because then you'll understand why I shared some of the racial rhetoric that I shared in Florida. Again, I don't justify it, I don't stand by it, but it was a reaction to what happened to me in Indiana. Anyways, moving on to the next thing, y'all. I didn't want to do that intro for too long. I really try to get through it quickly. But it's just like this OCD thing with me where I feel like I have to do it in the beginning of all of my videos because I'm like, what if this is the one video that somebody new sees and then they don't hear my story or they're lost and they're confused about the things I'm talking about? I don't know. It's just this thing that I feel like I have to do. And I'm tired right now. This is my 3rd time trying to make this video. I don't even want to be making another targeted individual video. But again, this was something that I realized I absolutely needed to document. So it's just like, this is why I sound like this, y'all. And I'm like kind of trying to get my words out and struggling and stuff. I'm just like, ugh. Anyways, so let me go ahead and get started. Like I even texted myself, y'all, because at this point now, this is like I said, my 3rd attempt at making this video. So I texted myself on what I wanted to talk about. Okay, y'all. So basically what happened is not last night, but night before last, I had this really vivid, scary dream. And it was obviously, I don't want to bear false witness because if you're familiar with my videos, you'll be familiar with the fact that I said bearing false witness has played a contentious role in my targeting. So I really try hard not to bear false witness, but it's kind of hard not to in this program because everything that happens to you everything that happens is intangible. I'm sorry I'm stammering. I've seen somebody driving by like real slow on the road. That's what happens when you're targeted. Like this happens all night. Like when I start doing these videos and stuff, you just see people driving by like really slow on the road. And then if I have a moment, they'll rev by. Anyways, bearing false witness has played a contentious role in my targeting. So I try not to, even though, like I was saying, it's something that's like I can't avoid because it's like I can't prove the things that are happening. I can prove I'm targeted. I can prove that the technology utilized on targets exists, but I can't prove that certain things are happening because of how the program works. It's psychological warfare, and it's the methods and tactics used are intangible forms of torture. So it's not something that I can concretely prove. And so constantly, even through documentation, I can't concretely say certain things without it sounding like I'm bearing false witness. And when I say bearing false witness, y'all, I'm not saying like I was one of those people just running around lying on people or something like that, because that's how they tried to paint it, and that's not true at all. When I say bearing false witness, y'all, it's only happened 2 times. One time, really. there are 3 times technically is what you could say, right? The 3 times you could say I bared false witness. But if we're being real technical, I've only bared false witness once. And then I insinuated stuff 2 other times without concrete evidence. And one of those times led to me becoming targeted because of the text message I sent. So if you listen to my story, y'all will know what I'm talking about. With the cyber stalking, cyberbullying situation that I got a lot of backlash for, I didn't bear false witness in that situation. Everything I said was true. This is why I created the evidence video when they tried to give me backlash for it. But initially, what started the cyber stalking, cyberbullying situation in the first place was because I bared false witness. When I was talking to that guy, when I had met him when I was younger, I thought that I suspected that he was setting me up with my roommate. And I didn't have concrete evidence that that was happening. If you listen to my full story, y'all, you'll hear the story about that situation in particular. But what I was saying, the accusation, I wouldn't say it was meritless. It was just that I didn't have concrete evidence that what was happening was happening. And I moved on that premise and I accused him. I straight up hardcore was accusing him and moving in an accusatory way towards him. So that was basically that was the one time I would say I truly bared false witness. And that led to like this catastrophic thing. That's a part of the spiritual battle that I've been through since my early 20s, where it was just this thing where I was getting set up and cyber stalked and cyber bullied. And when I say set up, I just mean like honeypots being sent my way. And, y'all got to listen to my story to hear about that thing, y'all. But that was one time where I truly did bear false witness. The other time I didn't bear false witness, and this is what keeps getting misconstrued. They paint it like I bared false witness with this situation with my roommate, and I didn't. I insinuated something without having concrete evidence, but I didn't straight up accuse her. So in my full story, my initial parts went into how I became a targeted individual videos, the videos that got deleted for those of you that are familiar. And for those of you that are new, I did have a lot more videos posted to my channel, and they were deleted by someone in my close circle when she confiscated her computer from me. And so when those videos were deleted, that was amongst one of those were amongst the videos that got deleted. You can check out my update video, scroll down, and you'll see a video that says update. The thumbnail is of a white screen with red letters that says update. And if you click on that video, you'll hear about how those videos got deleted. It was like so freaking frustrating when it happened. And like over the course of, you could say the latter part of last year, I worked on recreating a lot of the content that got deleted. Anyways, so in that story, I was talking about just basically why I felt like what was happening to me was some sort of spiritual attack. And I was under the suspicion that my roommate possibly had done some like, witchcraft or something on me. This is what I suspected. I didn't hardcore accuse her. I just suspected that that was the case. And so in my early 20s, this was when a lot of the weird things that I've been through started. It was like literally right after moving out from living with her. And then also something physical that was strange happened. My sister and I left town. And when we got back, we found her dirty underwear on top of my sister's toilet. So like she had been in my sister's room and her dirty underwear somehow ended up on my sister's toilet. So it was just weird, some weird stuff that happened. And so I was just so sure, that she had done something to me. I wasn't like so sure in the way where I was hardcore accusing her, but I strongly suspected it. And so did my sister and the other people in my close circle back then. The only difference is once we moved out from her, because my sister had gotten sick too, y'all. Understand all of this happened while we were living there with her. Shortly after the underwear thing, my sister had gotten sick. And so when we moved out, my sister started getting better. We kind of just let go of that idea that that was the thing that she had done or what we suspected. But I kind of held on to that because it was like literally after moving out from her, all these weird things started happening to me. And some of the things kind of resembled what was happening to her. And so that was what was uncanny to me. Some of the experiences that I was having resembled what was happening. Some of the experiences I was having, sorry about that, guys. I was just beeping my coworker. Some of the experiences I was having was kind of resembled, some of the things that was happening to her when she was living with us because she was going through a lot, mental turmoil and she had personal things going on in her life. Not going to go into too many details. I did talk about it in my full story though. And I even acknowledged my wrong at that too, because although I didn't hardcore accuse her, I did insinuate that she could have possibly done something because I truly believed it, y'all. There was no malicious intent. That's the difference, what's being done to me in this program, where they're purposely throwing these false narratives at me or these false accusations as some sort of retribution for what they view as me being someone that bears false witness. It's being done maliciously towards me. Me, when I bared false witness or insinuated things that I didn't have concrete evidence of, there was no malicious intent. I truly believed in my heart that these things were happening. And this is why I said what I said. And understand too, for years I suspected that this roommate had done something and I wasn't making videos about it. I wasn't going around telling people. I'm not even that type of person. Nobody knows my business. I'm a very secretive, and not in a bad way. I don't even want to use that word. I'm also afraid to use that word because of what's going on in my targeting. When I say secret, let me not even use the word secretive. Scratch it out. I'm a very private person. I'm a very introverted, private person. And so me acting like this, where I'm making these videos and I'm exposing my business and I'm talking about people in my life that I had experiences with, this is out of character for me. I'm doing it because of what's happening to me. The invasion, the covert harassment, the fact that I couldn't even get away from it. Because y'all understand this was happening for 2 years and I didn't make videos. I tried to relocate. The thing followed me. I had an egregious reaction or several because of what was happening to me illegally. And then I got punished for it. I suspect watch listed. The targeting definitely got worse. You know, when I got back to Ireland, I was microchipped. I'd started dealing with neural monitoring. So understand what led to me making these videos. I made these videos as a way to advocate for myself and tell my story. And unfortunately, the people that I mentioned were a part of my story. But I acknowledge again that the roommate thing was wrong, talking about that, because again, I don't have concrete evidence that she did what I suspected. So me mentioning her and talking about certain, personal things in her life, I acknowledge that was wrong. I didn't do it with malicious intent. I didn't just sit on my ass and just tell her personal business just for the hell of it. I was talking about it to show the correlation between some of the things she experienced that I experienced and why I thought this thing might have been spiritual. And for those of you that don't believe in a higher power or the spiritual world or whatever, this might sound like boo 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 type of talk to you. But understand I grew up in the islands and, typically island people are spiritual people. And, that's also an understanding down here that some people can mess with stuff, mess with you spiritually. I grew up with a grandma from Trinidad. She used to tell us stories all the time, have me and my sisters crying with the stories she was telling us. So I grew up with that understanding. I really took those stories to heart and I believed in those ideologies. And so I still, to be quite real with you, I still believe people can mess with you spiritually. You need to be grounded and have faith in the Most High. And I think maybe my lack of faith is why things, were whatever it was, if something was in fact used on me, why it could work. Anyway, whatever the case is, so that's what happened with what happened where I bared false witness. So that was the second time with the roommate, and that was more of an insinuation than straight up accusing. I didn't, in my videos, the ones that got deleted, straight up say this girl did this and that. I know she did it. First of all, I didn't say her name. I didn't show them who I was talking about, so nobody should know who I'm talking about, unless again the people in my close circle who obviously know who I'm talking about, or the roommate herself. I'm sure she's privy to what's going on with me. Everyone from this island knows at this point. Unless they went around telling people she's talking about so and so, nobody should know who I'm talking about. So it's not like her name is out there. I didn't say who I was talking about. That's first of all. But then second of all, oh my God, what's second of all? I'm tired, y'all. I'm sorry. Second of all, I didn't straight up accuse her. If you listen to my first, the videos that got deleted where I first talked about the thing, I made it very clear that I have no concrete evidence that this girl did anything to me. I said that. I said I just suspect that she did something or something was done because A, B, C. And I talked about what it was, the correlation between certain experiences I had, really uncanny coincidences. And it could be, I admit, synchronicity, like the true definition of it. Because synchronicity, I notice that term is used a lot in this community. And when we talk about synchronicity in this community, we're talking about, just the fact that the gang stalkers all kind of sync and do the same things, or the tactics that are being used seem similar, like they kind of sync up and move the same. And it's this kind of like syncing type of thing. When I say synchronicity, I mean the true definition of synchronicity, unrelated coincidences. That's what I mean. What happened to me right after moving out from her that resembled a lot of the things she went through could have been true synchronicity. I acknowledge that. But it's just so uncanny, y'all. It's such a coincidence. I just couldn't wrap my mind around it. And so when I was telling my story, I truly believed that something had been done. And in that moment, when I was telling my story, I did truly believe that it could have been her. And so that's why I said the things I said. I wasn't just sitting there on my ass telling her story for the hell of it. I'm not even the kind of person that talks. I don't even talk my business. I'm such a quiet person. But because I was making these videos and advocating for myself and telling my story and talking about what I truly believed was happening, I really felt like something spiritual was going on. I talked about her, and I talked about the experiences that I had that resembled some of the experiences she had when she and I lived together. And so that's what led to me telling her business. It wasn't a malicious thing. And I never really, like I said, exposed who she was. But that's where it was coming from. And I apologized for that already, and I acknowledged my wrong in that. So I didn't straight up bear false witness in that instance, y'all, but I did make an insinuation without concrete evidence. The bearing false witness, again, the only time I've really ever done it, the true definition of bearing false witness, was in the cyber stalking, cyberbullying situation. And that was years ago in my early 20s. When I talked about the situation in my targeting, the things that I said wasn't bearing false witness, and I provided evidence to back up the things that I was saying. But I still got backlash for it because they felt like I was being messy for mentioning it and for talking about it, and you know what, a bunch of backlash. And in that instance and in that specific situation, more than the roommate thing, because the roommate thing I completely feel bad about. In that situation, I don't feel 100% bad about it. I've been real about that. Even in my apology video, I was real about the fact that I don't feel 100% bad about it because I know what I experienced with that situation. Although I was at fault for the cyber stalking thing happening to me in the first place, how far it went was ridiculous. You know, it was completely ridiculous and unwarranted. And then not only that, then the situation kind of started manifesting itself in my targeting. You know, understand why I talked about it in my story, not just because I considered it to be one of the things that was a part of the spiritual battle that I've had since my early 20s, but the situation actually started manifesting itself in my targeting. When I lived in that old neighborhood, a lot of the noise campaigns were coming from his family. You know, his father used to, I don't mean to keep talking about the situation, but I understand they're still doing stuff about it. When I made the video the other night and I was talking about bearing false witness, they made so much noise when it got to this situation. I wasn't even really talking about the situation like that. They're still sending me stimuli about it. They just like, that's the one thing more than anything that I've talked about that they're really hanging on to. But anyway, so understand, before I left island, right, before I tried to relocate off island, when I lived in that old neighborhood, when I lived in that old neighborhood, a lot of the noise campaigns was coming from his family. And it wasn't just his family, you know, like I don't want to say too much because I can end up getting in problems for this video. But obviously he had, you know, it was this kind of link up with the people in my close circle because I sent the text message. And so it was this kind of way where it's like someone in my close circle kind of was in the bush, kind of like befriending his dad, you know, that kind of way. And his dad used to be outside in the bush grazing goats and stuff. And so a lot of the noise campaigns that happened outside the window was coming from, like I said, his people. That's not bearing false witness. That's facts. And sometimes I would be in the mirror, like combing my hair when I was still teaching and stuff. I remember I used to put in clip-ins and I was flat ironing my hair. That's the reason I chopped off most of my hair last year, y'all. My hair is still growing back from that. I chopped off a lot of my hair last year because I had heat damage, because I used to just fry my hair. Like I was just flat ironing it like crazy and putting clip-ins in to go to work. And so I remembered one morning I'm putting the clip-ins in and I'm hearing them outside, right outside the window, because the way the bathroom was set up at that house, there was a window that led right to the field outside that was right outside the house. I'm hearing the goats outside and I'm hearing people, like live people, making noises with their mouth, horse noises, like neigh, neigh, you know, while I'm putting in the clip-ins. Like in this way, like to tease me about putting clip-ins in, you know, like that I'm putting weave in. Like that's just an example. That's just one example. Like they used to do it all the time when I was in the bathroom getting ready. One set of noise campaign outside. And then not just that, it was so bad that they were taking the current. Like I'm not saying his people were taking the current. I'm not saying that whoever runs the current down here was doing it. Like a lot of people are involved when you're targeted. But the current was being taken every 5 seconds. That was a tactic that was being used on me. This was before I left island, y'all. Before I ever made videos. Taking the current, and then noise campaigns in the neighborhood. And so I remember one night they took the current while I was in the shower. I had just worked out. So you have to understand the irritation I felt. You know what it's like to work out and you feeling sweaty and nasty. It's nighttime. You go in the shower. I had a mask on. I do this thing where after I work out, I like to put on a facial mask. And so I'm washing the mask off my face. I'm still sweaty. You know, I haven't bathed yet. I'm at this point just washing the mask off my face. I just got in the shower. Half of the mask is washed off. They take the current. So I'm in pitch blackness, you know, half blind because the mask is still halfway on my face. And I'm hearing a bunch of noise outside the window, like a bunch of noise. I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, what the hell is this now? And, you know, at this point, I knew it was a tactic because the current kept being taken around that time. This was literally a tactic they were using on me. So I remember I was feeling my way around the house and I had to feel my way around to find drinking water so I could wash off. So I remember going to sit outside on the porch to cool off because I was just so pissed. I was seething. already annoyed, because the whole thing is humiliating. At this point, I was aware of the fact I was being watched on camera. I already felt like I went through too much with that cyber stalking, cyberbullying situation. Whether I was at fault or not for the start of it, it went too far. If you listen to my full story, you'll hear the accusation I made. It's another one of those things where it wasn't completely meritless. It's understandable why my train of thought was the way that it was, but it's just the fact that I didn't have concrete evidence that what I suspected was happening. And so to move accusatory with him was wrong. And I've acknowledged that several times, y'all. And then when I came home and met up with him, certain things happened. Listen to my full story, y'all. I even have a part 1 and part 2 video about the situation. Evidence of my cyber stalking, cyberbullying situation, part 1 and part 2. And the reason I went so in depth about the thing is because how much backlash I got for it, y'all, and gaslighting. Like I just sat there on my ass and talked about it for no reason, or like debating like it's this malicious thing, when really no, I'm just advocating for myself and talking about some of the spiritual battle that I've been through prior to my targeting. And that thing was so bad that it manifested itself into my targeting to the point where his people, like I said, before I left Island, was involved in my gang stalking, in the gang stalking that took place in that neighborhood, the noise campaigns, them taking the current. So that night that I was talking about where they took the current, this was before I left Island, y'all. And I sat on the porch and I'm like just seething because I'm hearing the noise campaign outside. I know it's a tactic they're using because around this time they had been taking the current every 5 seconds, conveniently as I'm in the shower washing my mask off, the current's gone, I'm hearing noise outside. I mean, come on. And I didn't know the terminology was gang stalking and noise campaign and that stuff, y'all, at that time. This was before I left Island. I didn't learn I was a target until I left. The things happened in the States that happened to me and the targeting went viral, came back, did research. That was when I learned I was a target. So at this time, I didn't know I was a target. At this time, to me, what was happening was just some sort of spiteful retribution because I sent a text message. And so I figured that his people were getting involved because they already didn't like me because of what transpired between him and I. And so I just figured it was like this link up thing to take down Sharifa. That's what it felt like. So anyways, I was sitting on the porch and I'm hearing laughing and like cackling in the bush. And I look over the balcony and I saw someone in my close circle in the bush laughing with his dad. So understand why I talked about what I talked about in my story. The way they tried to paint it like this jaded lover or this malicious thing. Like I just sat there and because I have this platform, I decided to talk about him and lambaste him. Like, no, that's not what happened. I was talking about my story. And unfortunately, he's a part of my story. And unfortunately, the situation I dealt with I'm sorry, somebody rubbed by y'all. Unfortunately, the situation that transpired between him and I that created the cyber stalking, cyberbullying, that happened for years, by the way, and I never made videos or talked about it. Didn't even make a post about it on Facebook. Unfortunately, that situation started manifesting itself in my targeting. So I was telling my story and that's a part of it. And so I told my story. So I don't feel bad about it. I keep saying that one thing about me is I'm a real person. I don't care about all the backlash I got. I'm a real person. I had a right to tell my story. I experienced what I experienced and I talked about it. The only thing I feel bad about, and I said this in the apology video that I created, was mentioning his child. That's the only thing I feel bad about it. Like when I did that evidence video. The evidence video would have never happened had they not gaslit me and made it like I was a liar. So I felt like I needed to do the evidence video to refute the lie allegation and to talk about why I talked about it. Because they made it seem like it was this malicious thing. Like I was just this jaded lover or mistress or whatever crazy, the weird stuff they do with this program. They can take like some of the truth. They come with half truths. Like they'll take a half truth or not even a whole half truth. They'll take like a little piece of the truth and then create this weird lie ass narrative. They're so good at it, y'all. It's elaborate what they come up with. The stuff they come up with, it's crazy. This man and I were never even together. There was never even a relationship. I keep calling it a relation because him and I were just friends and it just went awry. The thing went awry and it created this horrible thing for me on Island for years. And I never talked about it outside of the people in my close circle. I never made a post about it, nothing. But when the thing started manifesting itself in my targeting and I left, because understand, even when that was happening, I didn't talk about it. I left. And when I left him, the thing blew up and I came back and learned that I was a target. And I decided to tell my story. That was when I talked about that situation as well for the first time in years. And I got so much backlash for it, y'all. I don't feel bad about it. The only thing I feel bad about is talking about his son. And understand, even in that instance, they did that first. They brought his son into the equation with their gang stalking. I had evidence of that. That was one of the videos that got deleted. With their shadow networking AI software, they hacked my pool game one night. This was when I was still living in that neighborhood. And they played against me with an avatar that had the name of his son. And so understand, I was like, what? I was like, wait a minute. First of all, it's a unique name. It's not like I've never heard that name in my life before, but I've truly never met anybody with that name before. No, I have not. So it is a unique name. The only time I had ever heard the name was what I said in the evidence video. I'm not gonna go into details about it right now, but it's a unique name. So I was like, wait, I know this is not a coincidence. And then they're making noise outside as I'm playing against it. So I was like, okay. So then again, in the same hour, to pound it in, to make sure that I understood that it was them, they played against me again with the name of his son. And so that was when I talked about it in my video. And I was like, they did this and that. I documented what they did. And then I started talking about my experience with that in particular. So I'm not going to go into the details about it. I talked about it in my prior videos. I admit that was messy because that could have possibly caused some sort of friction maybe within his household or something like that. I don't even think that would be the case, though. I don't think that would cause friction in his household. I really don't. I don't know if it would or not because I don't know. That's something that could have caused friction. And I acknowledge that. So if anything, that's something that I do regret because that's an innocent child that kind of got thrown into the melee that had nothing to do with what's going on. But understand they started that. I didn't just sit up and talk about his son. Yes, I talked about him and the situation and how it manifested itself in my targeting, but I didn't mention his son until they played against me that night on the pool game 2 times in the same hour with his son's name. That was when his son came into the equation. It wasn't me that started that, but still me going into details about the things that I did as it pertains to the name. That was messy. That I can acknowledge. And that's where I take my wrong and I apologize for it. That's it. Everything else I had a right to talk about it. I'm, sorry, not sorry. This is one of those moments. Sorry, not sorry for that in particular. Anyway, the next thing where I bared false witness was the text message, y'all. The main thing. Hold on, y'all. Let me make sure this is, I heard a weird sound, so make sure this is recording. It is. The next thing that I bared false witness for, y'all, was the text message, the main thing. And basically, again, that wasn't malicious intent. That was something that I truly, again, believed in the moment could have been possibly happening. And I didn't straight up accuse them. I asked a question. The text message was posed as a question, not an accusation. I didn't say, why are y'all in the hall? And, again, the way I'm terming it is the way that I'm saying it is like you've already watched the story. So if you haven't, please don't sit here and watch this video because you're going to be lost. Straight up, you're going to be confused if you don't listen to my story. But it's not like I posed a question like, why are y'all in the hallways doing this and that to me? How could you gaslight me? I could see if I made it like that and then this happened to me. I would be like, okay, you deserve it. Like, you straight up accused them. You don't even know if that was really happening. I asked a question. The way that I posed the thing was as a question. I asked a question. I said, I don't even remember verbatim what I said, y'all, because it was so long ago. At this point, almost 4 years ago. It happened in 2020, summer of 2020. But basically, the gist of the text was me. Basically, you should know now if you're listening to the video. Hopefully, you've listened to my story. The gist of it was me just asking them, are they in the hallways kind of doing the same thing that was happening to me in the Airbnb? I didn't say that. I didn't say, are you doing the same thing that was happening to me in the Airbnbs? I just said, are you guys making noises at night? And I told them what I thought I was hearing. It felt like I was hearing keys jingling or like somebody turning up music outside the door, or like somebody like stomping hard on the floor outside the door is what it felt like I was hearing. And I said, I know y'all wouldn't gaslight me, right? I posed it as a question. I didn't say, y'all are gaslighting me. How could you gaslight me? I said, I know y'all wouldn't gaslight me, right? That's what I asked as a question. Oh my God. The moment I sent that text, my life changed, y'all. Completely. Like, they started acting so strange in that house, the people in my close circle. Like, in-house monitoring started happening, the start of the targeting. And the things they were doing really started to resemble what was happening to me in the Airbnbs. My thing is this. First of all, I didn't accuse them in that moment. Again, that was an insinuation, not an accusation. The only accusation I did, again, was years ago, about a decade ago at this point, in my early 20s when I accused that guy of setting me up. That was the only straight up false accusation I've made. The other 2 things were insinuations, not accusations. Same word family, not synonymous, not the same thing. So it's not the same thing. Anyway, so with the text message, what happened is I had gotten in a fight with the people in my close circle. Obviously, if you've heard the full story, you know what I'm talking about. We had gotten in a minor fight in the household. And so I felt like after that, there was like tension in the house. And I felt like they were kind of moving different with me. And so it was in that moment, because understand I had been home for about a month and I wasn't hearing anything. If anything, I was sleeping at ease and feeling relief that I wasn't dealing with what I had been dealing with in the Airbnbs prior to coming home. Understand the Airbnb situation, those 3 Airbnb things that happened to me, especially that last one that lasted for about 3 months, where I was traumatized from all of them in the house, those 3 people, those 3 guests gang stalking me. Basically, you could say it was in-house gang stalking. I wasn't a target at that time, but the things they were doing, the noise campaigns and stuff that they were doing in that house, in that Airbnb, just like the gang stalking program, y'all. We could basically say that was my first experience with gang stalking. Actually, if we're being technical, my true first experience, if you listen to my full story, you will have heard this Walmart story. My true first experience with gang stalking, I would say, was at the Walmart in my early 20s with that asset protection man. And that's the story I told in my full story, y'all, for those of you that haven't watched the full story. And that was one of the scenarios that I talked about that resembled something that happened to my roommate that I thought was so uncanny. Something that I kind of got backlash for saying about her, because that's something personal, obviously, that happened with her that I kind of revealed in my story, not in a malicious way, but just in a way to say, look at this other uncanny correlation. You know, what happened to me right after moving out from her? What are the odds, you know? But it was a situation in a Walmart. I'm not going to tell the story right now, y'all. But basically, the asset protection man was casing me from register to register, and it really didn't make sense why he was doing it. You know, it started from an innocent gesture. You know, I had a sister, my older sister, who I lived with at the time in Tallahassee, come into the store and try to purchase something with her check. And in that way, she was trying to cash her check. And so as she was trying to cash the check, I realized I couldn't do it. You know, I was new to Walmart at that time. I had only been working for about 3 months there. And I realized I couldn't figure out how to do it. You know, I'm like, okay, I don't know how to do this. I know this is something that can be done. I didn't know it couldn't be done in Walmart. But I know from my experience with other stores that you can use your check to pay for groceries and then get the difference back. And in that way, you cashed your check. And so I thought, okay, well, Walmart's a big super center grocery store, right? Retail store. I'm sure you could do that here. So even though I was new to the Walmart at the time, I was like, I can figure this out. I know how to work the register. I'm sure I can figure this out. So I stayed there for a good while trying to figure out how I could work it out, y'all. I sat there for a good while trying to figure out how I could get this thing. Not even a good while. It was like about 5 minutes that I sat there trying to figure out how to do it. And when I couldn't figure it out, it's not like they saw me digging in the register and doing weird stuff. I started flashing the light and I called the CSM over. And the CSM is the manager over all the registers. And so when she came over, I told her what I was trying to do. And she kind of got like this stoic, you know, serious expression. And she just let me know, look, not in this, like, she didn't say look like in this rude way, but she was just like, don't ever deal with checks at the register. Checks are always to be dealt with at the money center. I said, okay, no problem, right? So she took my sister over to the money center and told me to turn my light back on because she made me turn it off so she could give me that little talk. As I'm turning my light back on, the asset protection man comes out and just stands there in this intimidating way and snarls at me. I'm like, why is he looking at me like that? I was literally like a pit bull that's like skinning back its mouth, you know, at somebody it's about to attack. I'm like, why is he looking at me like this? You know, I know it couldn't be because of the check situation. You know, that was innocent. And I called the CSM over. Why the hell would I call the CSM over if I were trying to run a scam? If it were something that I was trying to do that wasn't working out, I would have never called the manager over. You know, I could see if they came over to me, you know, like they saw me doing whatever I was trying to do. And then they came over, right? And then he suspected that something was going on. But why would I call the manager over if I were trying to do something? You know, and it's just this recurrent theme like that, y'all, where it's this thing where it would seem like I'm stupid and ratting on myself. And then it's creating this weird monitoring for me. And that's what made me feel like the thing was spiritual. Because understand, that was my first experience with a monitoring spirit, was at that Walmart shortly after moving out from the roommate in my early 20s. And it was another situation where it would seem like I ratted on myself if I were doing something wrong, but I wasn't. Hence the reason why after the situation, I worked at the Walmart for a good 7 months after that. And I was the one who resigned. But that whole duration of time after that incident, all the way up until I resigned, this man was casing me from register to register, watching me. He made me so uneasy and unnerved that one day I actually almost gave $100 out of my register to a Good Samaritan because they, did the transaction, whatever, and I was supposed to give them $10 change, and I grabbed 100 out instead of 10 by accident. And so they said, look what you gave me. And so when they showed me, I was like, oh my God, I was so grateful because this man was already casing me, right, and acting like I was a thief or somebody suspicious. And so for me to lose that much money out the register, that would have been a no-go. So I was so grateful to that Good Samaritan for pointing out what my error. But it was bassettiness, y'all. I've told y'all in several videos what that means. I was flustered, like just constantly in a state of angst because this man was monitoring me and making sure that he was visible and that I was seeing him monitoring me. And so I'm sure acting what they would call quote unquote guilty, just like they say in this program, when it's just angst and anxiety. I'm an anxious person. I see you watching me. I know you're obviously suspicious of me, even though I know in my heart of hearts I'm not a bad person. I'm not about to do a damn thing. I ain't never been in trouble in my life. I've never stolen in my life. I had a good upbringing. But you are watching me and following me and unnerving me. And so I'm acting nervous. And the more nervous I acted, it was like the more on top of me this man was. And so it was just like, I'm just want to slap him in the back of his head sometimes. And I was just like, the reason I'm acting like this is because you're following me, sir, and staring at me. But anyways, that's how it was that whole time in the Walmart, y'all. And that was my first experience with a monitoring spirit. And that was my first gang stalking experience, even though it wasn't truly gang stalking, because it was only him, as far as I know, monitoring me. And I wasn't a target at the time. It wasn't something that was following me outside of the store. But that was my first true monitoring / gang stalking experience, right? So then fast forward to, same time frame, the cyber stalking, cyberbullying situation. I don't want to talk about that. I've talked about it in enough videos, y'all. But that thing went awry with that situation. And that became a monitoring thing too, in a way. It wasn't monitoring in the way where it's like they're following me around, but it was more so monitoring in the way like they're monitoring my social media. Like my Facebook, for instance, guys hit me up that are honeypots, trying to set me up. I'm not being able to authentically date a guy on Island because it seemed like they all knew about the situation. That almost felt like a monitoring in a way too. Me leaving to go back to school for the second time and them hacking my dating app, and hacking my POF, my Plenty of Fish, not even being able to authentically date on a dating app in the States. So it kind of felt like, again, something spiritual. And so this is why I kept feeling over the years like something spiritual was going on. And then now fast forward here now to the targeting. Me sending it, well, shoot, first let's not hop ahead of ourselves. What happened directly before the targeting? And understand all of these things were spaced out over a course of a decade, y'all. So then right before the targeting, right before I graduated from college in 2020 is when I graduated with my bachelor's degree. That whole year, 2020 and 2019 was when the Airbnb occurrences that I talked about in my full story took place. At random, y'all, I had stayed in Airbnbs for almost a half a year. No incident, good review, high rating. I still have the high rating on Airbnb right now, y'all. I even had a video where I was showing some of the positive feedback I was getting on what my reviews were on Airbnb and how high of a rating I had on Airbnb, despite the last 3 Airbnbs, the weird thing that happened. But that video got deleted. A lot of the evidence videos that I had from last year got deleted, when that computer was confiscated. But I know a lot of you saw them. Anyway, so that weird Airbnb situation out of nowhere, that started again from an innocent gesture because I have OCD. I've had it my whole life, and I have to close the bathroom door. I can't swallow my spit with it open. Listen to the story. I'm not about to tell it again, y'all. But basically me jamming up the bathroom door. And before I did it, mind you, that's the evidence that what I'm saying can be validated. I called my mother and I can say relationships in this instance. I called my mother and I complained about the Airbnb before I ever jammed up the door. And I should have took her advice. I called her. I said, man, this Airbnb, this one that he put me in long-term has a sliding door. I said, I'm so mad, Mommy, I can't swallow my spit. And she said, well, why didn't you just have him to move you to a new unit? And I said, well, I don't feel like moving again. I had moved all of my stuff in, y'all. I used to have this big wardrobe. I used to like to dress nice. I had so much clothes. I barely have anything now. Now that I'm working, I keep saying I need to go to the store and buy clothes and re-up with my wardrobe again. But I haven't really, I'm just getting around to getting stuff, y'all. I just started working and I have so many things I need to get. Shoot, I'm even trying to save up to get a car and stuff eventually. So clothes is like the last thing on my mind right now. But I keep saying I'm already planning to order some workout gear, some workout clothes. But that's something I need to do. I used to have so much clothes, y'all. I had suitcases full of clothes because I was a teacher. I was a substitute teacher. I was working at the post office. I was in school. I had presentations. I used to dress nice. I had heels and everything. And so when I moved into this Airbnb long-term, the whole purpose of me getting the long-term Airbnb with this guy was the fact that I was tired of moving every week from Airbnb to Airbnb. And so that was why my mom suggested, well, why don't you ask him if he has a long-term Airbnb that you can move into? And so I was like, okay, that's a good idea, because I liked him. Him and I had a good repertoire. And already I had kind of been staying with him longer than any other host I had stayed with because he had so many units and he was such a cool guy that I kept staying with him. And so I was just like, well, let me ask him if I could stay with him long-term for real. And so when I asked him, he was more than open to the idea of it and even told me that he had done that for a prior college student. And so he said, you know what, as a matter of fact, I'm going to move you into the unit she was in. And understand this was not the first connecting Airbnb I stayed in. In one of my videos that got deleted, I showed y'all reviews from this, whoa, that scared me, y'all. Something from the tree fell on my roof, and it could have been a drone, who knows? But it scared me. No, the wind is really blowing hard right now. It looks like it might even be drizzling. I can't tell. Anyways, understand that was not the first connecting Airbnb that I stayed in. I stayed in several connecting Airbnbs. It was to the point where I showed a video. This is one of the videos that got deleted, where I had stayed with this mother and her daughter in the back of their house in this unit that connected to their house. And I stayed there for a good 2 weeks, and they gave me such a nice rating, and they told me she's welcome back anytime. I stayed in people's houses, in their room, in their house, shared Airbnb. So this was not the first connecting Airbnb I stayed in. I had stayed in even more connected Airbnbs than this one, to the point where I was inside people's house. You know, and understand too that this connected Airbnb that I was staying in, the two of us were in the back of a main house. So there was a main house with people in it, and then we had our 2 units connected to the back of the house. So it's not like I would be trying anything in broad daylight with all of these people there. And then the houses were super close together. It's actually very similar to the neighborhood I'm living in now here on Island. The houses were so close together. Yeah, you barely had yard space. So I'm like, what the heck could they really think I would be trying to do with all of these people around? It didn't even make sense. So anyways, what happened is I had moved all my stuff in, and then I realized that I didn't like the bathroom door. And so I remember my mom kind of telling me, well, why don't you have him move you again? And I didn't feel like it. And I kind of now, in retrospect, wish I had just asked him to move me again. But instead I opted to jam at the bathroom door. And I'm not trying to sit here and tell the story again. Yeah, I'm just trying to let y'all, even with the Walmart thing, I kind of brushed on what happened, even though I've talked about it before in prior videos. But just understand that that innocent gesture of jamming up the bathroom door is what started what I want to say was the catapult that led to my targeting starting, because it was that little incident there that led to the weird things, a weird chain of events in all 3 Airbnbs that I stayed in, right? Once the thing started. And then when I came home, directly after coming home, about a month after coming home from living in the last Airbnb where it was really bad, I sent the text message. So why it would turn into what it did is crazy to me. It's obvious that the text message was a result of what happened in the Airbnb I had just left. Why would it turn into what it turned into? It's crazy to me. And with the narrative they tried to paint, and I think just again out of spite, because they think I'm someone that bears false witness, is literally spite, the narrative that was painted. It's another situation where it's like, why would I rat on myself? Let's use our head here. If I thought you were outside in the hallways making noises because I was trying to do something, God forbid, why would you be so sick in the head that you would think something was going on and not bust the door open? So why would I be so stupid as to think that you would be out there making noises because you thought I was doing something rather than busting the room door open on me? So it's obvious if you use common sense that that's not what I was thinking. What I was thinking was that you, the same thing I said, were being spiteful. And I suspected it. I'm not accusing. I suspected that they were being spiteful and doing what happened to me in the Airbnbs because we had gotten in that fight. That's what I thought, and that's what the text message was about. So what was created from it is ludicrous to me. It's crazy. And it literally snowballed into this thing. And I had these anxious reactions, especially in the States, that created this thing where they tried to like pin me up and frame me with the thing. It's crazy. So you really need to check out all of my other videos, y'all, because I keep busting down this thing and they don't like it. Especially the people that in the mainland and the fusion centers that run the program, the targeting program, that have me marked or watch listed as terrorists because of the offensive stuff I shared in my car in Florida. Understand they have an agenda and a reason why they're trying to pin me up. I shared a bunch of offensive content, Hebrew Israelite propaganda in my car in Florida. So now they have me marked as enemy of state or terrorist or whatever they have me marked as. And so their agenda is to malign me with their program and to smear my name. And they will use anything they can to do it. And so that's what has been my experience this last year. I would say year and a half since coming back from being in the States and things blowing up the way that it did. Them using their AI shadow networking software to malign me and paint false narratives. Check out my last video, y'all. And just constantly dealing with it's just horrible. Yeah, external gang stalking, my stuff being hacked up, painting of false narratives, sensitization, programming, all day long stuff in my head with stupid bullshit, false narratives and lies. And it's caused PTSD and trauma. It's MK Ultra mind control programming. It's been around for years. It's similar to like an ad. I keep saying this. Like when you're sitting in the movie theater, you watch a movie, they flash an ad on the screen for a minute or two, It might be about Coke or whatever snacks they have outside in the little area that they want you to buy, right? And all of a sudden Coke pops in your head and you don't realize you just got programmed in that 1 minute when the ad came on. It's the same thing like what they're doing with this program when they're painting false narratives and trying to sensitize you to whatever it is they're trying to pin you up with. They be stuffing me up with everything, y'all. Not just one thing, not even just what they created from the text message, but several other things that was created over the course of last year based off of the things that I said. They take those things and they take anything that you say and do, and they use their technology to spin these false, crazy ass narratives. They're very good at doing what they do, y'all. And unfortunately, if you're someone like me that's anxious and to keep the cameras on you and the gang stalkers looking and making noises, you have an anxious reaction to the stimuli being presented on the screen, and they'll try to paint that as being indicative of guilt rather than angst and anxiety. It's crazy, y'all. It's crazy how the program works. You better learn it and learn to document. This is how you save yourself and protect yourself. So anyways, this has been my greatest, and not to use that word, but this has literally been my best countermeasure against this program is documentation, refutation, and articulation. Anyway, so my God, they were taking the things that I said last year from my full story, and they took it and they kind of started spinning all these false narratives, in addition to the weird, creepy ass false narrative that they created from the text message, y'all. So anyway, I'm trying to pull it back in, y'all. I kind of lost my train of thought because I saw something. I'm trying to talk about the things that they created with how they're creating stuff with their technology. Where was I? Because I don't want this video to be too long. How long are we in? 55 minutes. Let me try to get to the point, y'all. I mean, this is all important. This is all pertinent and relative. This is all relative to what I'm about to talk about. The fact that they constantly keep coming with these false narratives to malign me out of spite because I bear false witness, you know, and then also too, you have different people with different agendas. Again, you have the people in the mainland that's running this technology in the fusion centers that have me marked as terrorist because of the offensive Hebrew Israelite propaganda I shared in my car in Florida. So this is why they're using their technology to malign me and paint these false narratives. You have the people on island who are gang stalking me, who are offended by some of the things I said as well, and holding grudges. They think I'm a snooty tooty whatever on top of things. That I look down on people, whatever the false narrative is that, or false misconception that they have of me is, this is why they're going along with it. And so you have different people with different agendas that are working together. And this is what's causing my targeting. And this is why it keeps, getting worse because I can't get the cameras off me. And so constantly, if I have a reaction, they're ready to run with something. And it's like, so I feel like I'm on eggshells all day long, trying not to have a reaction to what's being stuffed in my brain 24/7. That's what I was talking about, the programming. I was trying to pull myself back to it. Yeah, I lost my train of thought. It's the ADD, and I was really trying to pull myself back to where I had left off. I was just talking about how they program your brain. And so it's just like similar as like I was saying to a movie theater when you're in the movie theater and they put the ad on for a minute and then Coke pops in your head. It's the same thing like with these false narratives that they keep cycling and sending to me to sensitize me. Check out my last video, y'all. Actually, check out all 3 of those videos. The shadow network example of shadow networking AI software utilized in my targeting. Check out the part 1, part 2, and part 3 video, where I show you examples of what it looks like when they use their shadow networking AI software on me, where they're sending these videos with subliminal messaging, whatever it is that they're trying to sensitize me to. And it's several things, y'all, not just the thing pertaining to the text message, several things. And understand none of the other stuff was being sent to me before. That's how you know it's bullshit. The only thing they were sending to me when I was in Florida, when they initially started using the thing on me, was the narrative about the text message that was created, constantly sending me things about lust and drunkenness and things in the darkness coming to light and weird stuff like that. And I was having these anxious reactions then too, and I didn't do shit because all these people were around and watching me and making noise campaigns and revving by. It was like thousands of people on the road. And I remember us having these really anxious reactions. And that's what led to the anger and what led to me eventually sharing the offensive shit that I shared in my vehicle. That's what led to it. Incessant harassment, covert and overt harassment, and illegal surveillance when I hadn't done anything wrong. You have to understand that is going to make anybody angry. And you can't really predict how somebody's going to react when they're angry. Anyway, so that's what happened, y'all. And then when I got back, they started to paint other false narratives just based off of the things I said. For instance, me thinking that my roommate did witchcraft and me and saying that in my video. And then me going as far as to download a return to sender book. And what a return to sender book, y'all, is, I hate to talk about it, but this happened. I did it. I repented. A return to sender book is like a form of white magic. So it's not magic to malign anybody. It's not magic to hurt anybody. It's a magic book that if you don't have faith in the Most High, no disrespect if you're somebody that believes in that stuff, but it's a book that you download if you feel like somebody did black magic on you. So it's not a book to hurt anybody. It's a protection book. And so, and I say protection loosely because I feel like that could actually bring more spirits into you, if anything. It was stupid of me to download it. But it's a quote unquote protection book. And it's supposed to be white magic and you trying to get black magic off of you. That was what I downloaded. And from the time I read the beginning of the book and I saw the disclaimer that the lady who wrote the book wrote, she wrote that basically, if you don't know what you're doing, you could end up putting something on yourself. Be careful. She was talking about what happened to her in her early 20s when she messed with that stuff. You know, she was talking about the fact that she called a demon on herself. And it was a good thing that she realized then she had to take it off of herself. And so for me, when I saw that, I was like, hell no, I'm not messing with this stuff, you know? And it's kind of relative to the person I'm talking about in this video, you know, because the narrative they try to paint, you know, or what they were trying to create last year and why I'm traumatized and I still have reactions to the thing, right? When it's mentioned, the narrative they were trying to paint was like I had done something spiritually wicked to this person that I'm about to talk about that the dream manipulation happened with, right? They're trying to paint it like what happened to her, her loss, because she did lose somebody that was close to her. You know, I don't trying to talk about sensitive stuff, y'all. But I do have to talk about this because you have to understand it's a heinous thing that was put on me, right? That they were trying to put on me. She lost her child, right? And if it were something that was spiritually wicked that was done, it wasn't me that did it. Because when she was younger and in her early 20s, not her early 20s, in her teens, she did dabble with something spiritually wicked. She did a spell. She wrote a spell, right? She looked up online a spell, and I'm not judging her, right? Because she was young when she did it. So I'm not judging. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm watching this idiot walk by. He looks horrible. He's holding his nose and doing kind of stupidness, and I don't even know what he's wearing. I'm sorry. I'm not meaning to. This is what happens, y'all. I'm telling you, this is what happens with the gang stalking, and then you have a reaction, and then you get painted as monster bitch. It's like it's so irritating, some of the things they do, and it makes you get disrespectful, and then you get painted as monster bitch. I'm telling the story, right? And as I'm telling the story, he's walking by staring at me dead in his face and pinching his nose. And mind you, he's if you see what this man is wearing and how he looks, I'm not trying to be judgmental because I don't even have much clothes myself at the moment with my targeting. But you're coming and doing bullshit and you're looking a hot mess. Like that really annoys me. Anyway, let me continue. And just trying to aggravate me too, y'all, because of what I'm talking about. Just trying to be an asshole. Anyway, so like I was saying, with this person in particular, this person in my close circle, I don't want to go into too many details and be insensitive about her loss, you know, because again, now, because of their accusation of what they tried to push on me, I now have to bring the facts, and it might come across as insensitive and they would gaslight me about it when I'm just defending myself. But if there were any spiritual element to what happened to her outside of just an unfortunate event, because many women unfortunately do lose children, and it's not necessarily something spiritual that was done, but if there was a spiritual element to what happened to her, it was likely something she did, not me. When she was in her teens, like I was saying, she did do a spell. She actually did it. I've never done a spell before. I read a spell book. I never did anything in the book. She did a spell, and the spell she did, I think, would be considered black magic. I believe love spells are considered black magic because they affect someone other than yourself. You know, it's not to protect yourself. So I do believe that falls under the realm of black magic, but I'm not certain. I don't know about that stuff like that. I just started doing the research last year because I was terrified and I felt like the thing was on me. And I still kind of do, y'all, if I'm keeping it real. I'm just not pinpointing anybody specific anymore. I learned my lesson about that. So anyways, what she did was in her early teens, she looked up a spell. There was a guy she really liked. She looked up a spell. She wrote it on a piece of paper. She put it underneath her pillow, whatever the ritual was she was supposed to do. Something she said she had to do. I don't remember exactly what she had to do. Something she had to say, I think, and put it under her pillow and go to sleep. Something. I don't remember exactly what she did, y'all. But she did the ritual, right? She just told me about it. She told me about it. I just don't remember exactly. I don't know why I'm hearing somebody slightly rev. I really don't. But they didn't rev by too much. So anyways, I don't remember exactly what she did verbatim, but it was something about putting it under her pillow and some she had to say or something she had to do, whatever she did. It was one of those little minor spells, but still a spell nonetheless, and something that affected someone else. Or I don't know if it affected the person or not, but involved somebody else. Let me put it like that. Let me not say affected someone else, but involved someone else other than just herself. And so she did that out of ignorance, being young, and we knew better too. We were not raised to deal with that type of stuff. So I don't really understand what was going on with her in that moment, but I think she was saying she was really depressed at that time, and then she had really liked the guy or whatever was happening. So this is what she did. And so if there is, like I said, a spiritual element to it, which I don't think so, I really think it was just an unfortunate event that happened to her. But if there, because she does have connectivity issues, she went to the doctor and they did, from the time we were children, she's had hernias. She's had really bad hernias to the point where when we were in the States, we were all kids at the time. She had like 2 different hernias in her genital area. And so those hernias are a sign or a symptom of tissue connectivity issues. And so that is the reason why she has trouble having, I don't want to say she has trouble, and it's not that, like, I don't want to say too much personal stuff in here, and it's not that she has trouble having kids, but that's why she had trouble with that first pregnancy and why she has to plan her pregnancies, because she has a connectivity issue that she's had since childhood. And so the proof is in the pudding, y'all. She had the hernias since childhood. And so that's what's going on with her. I don't think there's anything spiritual to what happened to her. But if it were something spiritual, it would likely be what she did in her early 20s. Check out my refuting evidence to disprove new allegations against me part 2 video, where you'll hear a lady that I found by accident, y'all. They kept trying to shadow network and gang stalk me last year, and the most I came in clutch with that information that I shared in that part 2 video to help me protect myself. But check out that video, my evidence disproving new allegations against me part 2 video, where I talked about that situation with that person in my close circle, and that if it were anything spiritual at play, it would have been likely what she did. Check out that video. I have a part 1, a part 2, and a part 3 video titled Evidence to Disprove New Allegations Against Me. And I totally knocked down this witchcraft thing in those 3 videos. So I shouldn't even have to make this video. But because they took it as far as the physical, where I believe they did dream manipulation on me night before last, that's the only reason I was like, I got to document it first of all. And then I also have to, again, refute the false narrative, because that's what they were trying to spin. And that's why when I sat here and I made this video, the 2 different times I attempted to make it, they went out of the way to knock it down, y'all, because they do not like when I speak and when I can knock down what they're trying to create. Anyways, so, oh boy, let me see how far in I am now. Let me try to hurry up because I didn't want the video to be too long. Where was I? So that was the thing that they were trying to throw at me last year, though, y'all, with the witchcraft thing, because of what I said. Remember, I said they take the things you say and do, and they create false narratives to try to malign you and smear your name with their technology when you're listed as terrorist or target. That's what they do. That's how the program works. It's like a major smear campaign, y'all. So you have to be careful about the things you say and do, because they will literally take your actions or the things you say and create these creepy false narratives, and they're so good at doing it, y'all. And if you're somebody that's anxious, if you only have an awkward or an anxious reaction to what they're sending you while these people are watching you and revving by making noises, even though it's understandable why you would be acting awkward, if you have that anxious reaction, they're going to try to use that as an indicator of guilt. So I've bust that down in several videos why that's not true, y'all. And I've even shown examples of when I acted nervous or anxious because they're staring at me for things that I didn't do and I was able to prove. Like, for instance, also another thing they tried to use against me that I said in my full story was the fact that me being seen naked on camera. This happens to all targets. You're being surveilled covertly, right? So you're being seen in the bathroom when you're bathing, when you're pooping, when you're peeing, etc., etc. They're seeing you naked. And so I said in my full story, another sign that witchcraft is on me, why I'm so sure it's on me, is the fact that the humiliation of it all. They're humiliating me and they're seeing me naked. And I saw on one of these videos where I was doing research that if you find yourself being seen naked on camera, or not even necessarily just on camera, if you find nakedness to be a part of, what's going on with you, your spiritual turmoil and humiliation, they said that's a classic sign that somebody did witchcraft on you. That's a major sign that somebody did something on you. And so I said that in my video, oh my God, they started to simulate and program and do with their technology and create narratives and send me sensitization and videos with stimuli in it, ladled with nakedness and spiritualness, weird spiritual things happening. And so I remembered when they were sending me that stuff, this was around the time when they had kind of tried to spin it like I was the one doing witchcraft, and the allegations they were sending to me and these weird, creepy things that they were insinuating with their weird videos and their technology. And I was having these anxious reactions, and the gang stalkers were making noise campaign about it, and then also too, I suspect I was being hit with energy weapons around this time too. This was the beginning of last year. I told y'all what happened right around that time, where they were hinting to me that I was being hit, with radiation. I had lost all the weight and I had the black rings around my eyes. I was really anxious, y'all, with what they were throwing at me. And so understand that they were using their technology to try to frame me. And me sitting here and making these videos is what was my saving grace. The Most High literally helping me to make these videos and freaking fight these people. So anyways, the nakedness thing, that came on the screen, and I had this anxious reaction when they started presenting that stimuli. I was acting so freaking awkward, y'all, about the nakedness thing. And so I was like, no, I got to find that video. I'm like, they're literally now trying to insinuate that the reason I knew about the nakedness thing was because that was something that I had done or I was privy to because I was dealing with that type of stuff. So I was like, nah. I'm like, they're not going to frame me any more than what they're doing. I need to be careful, first of all, about the things I'm saying, because if they're taking everything I'm saying and they're using it against me, so I need to be careful with my words. So I learned that back that, and I learned that just then what they do. But I was like, I need to start proving stuff. And so I went and I dug and dug, y'all, because I was watching so much witchcraft videos at the beginning of last year because I never thought the thing would be thrown on me, the accusation. I had no fear of that. I never thought they would spin that, and I didn't understand how the program worked yet. And I didn't know that your words and your actions are used against you, right? I'm going to get back to that Return to Sender book I downloaded too. I recognize that I went off on a tangent. But those of y'all that have been keeping up with my videos and my story, you already know about what happened with that situation. But anyway, so with the naked thing, I was like, no way, because at this point I had downloaded the Return to Sender book already, and they had started spinning these weird narratives. And although they saw that I read the book and didn't do anything in it, because of the disclaimer that I read, and it scared me, and I already knew I didn't want to deal with that stuff anyways, it was literally just a lack of desperation and a lack of faith why I downloaded it in the first place. Once I read that book, I deleted it. I never looked back. I uploaded it one other time months later to prove something that I had found in there that I mentioned in my story that they were also trying to paint like I knew about it because I had done it. So I downloaded the book just to show I got it from that book, that information, and that video was deleted as well. But with the nakedness thing, excuse me, at this point I was like, I have to prove the things I'm saying now, because I realized they're taking everything I say and they're creating these weird narratives with their technology. So this was when this was when I started searching through the videos that I had been watching, desperately trying to find where I heard the nakedness thing from. And I was like, ding, 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 it was that girl, Nikisha Wise. Because there's this girl that reminds me of myself. She's athletic. She used to play basketball in high school. She had this best friend that lived with her in college, but she has confirmation that the best friend actually did, witchcraft on her or whatever. I don't have the confirmation. I just suspected it. But still just a similar story where for a decade, all these weird, crazy, astronomically strange things was happening to her. And that's when she discovered, that the best friend had done this thing to her. So anyways, once she discovered that, she started to create this YouTube channel to help other witchcraft victims. And so I was looking at a bunch of witchcraft videos all of last year, y'all, again, not thinking they would throw this thing on me. Just looking at all these videos, doing research. And Nikisha Wise is her name. If you check out my Evidence to Disprove New Allegations Against Me Part 3 video, I believe is where I showed the evidence of this naked thing. I believe it was in the Part 3 video. I was looking at a lot of her videos, y'all, and getting information and motivation from her. And so one of her videos where she was talking about the Shanquilla Robinson case, what happened to that girl. She was saying she felt like that might have been witchcraft that was done on the girl because of how the girl, I don't want to say it's scary, but what happened to her, the way that it happened, she was naked on camera, y'all, and humiliated as what was happening to her happened. And so Nikisha was saying she wouldn't be surprised if that was witchcraft, because there's something she learned that has to do with witchcraft, that when you're a victim of witchcraft, oftentimes you're humiliated and people are seeing you naked. For some reason, you're seen naked. She said that's a common sign. And so I said that in my full story and didn't say where I got it from. And of course, they started to simulate with their technology and create this false narrative and use it to spin the lie they were trying to spin on me. And so I was like, no, I got to find this. And I was having anxious reactions like I do with everything else, just like with the child thing, what was happening to me in my car in Florida, just like every other thing that they've thrown at me. It can't be that I'm guilty of all of these things. I mean, hello. So the anxious reactions are just that, me being anxious to you staring at me. Anyway, so I found it. I was able to find it where she talked about the nakedness thing. And that was one of the many things I used to prove that my anxious reaction is not indicative of guilt. It's anxiety and angst from you staring at me and insinuating these heinous things. Anyway, so that's what it was, y'all. It's just been a nightmare for me. It's like the worst the last 2 years. I would say 2020 really up until now has been the worst years of my life, but specifically the last 2 years have been the absolute worst, like the craziest shit I've ever experienced in my entire life. Screw the freaking spiritual battle I've been through since my early 20s. These last 2 years have been the worst years of my life, period. Anyways, so this is what they were doing, y'all. They were just trying to paint this false narrative. And the reason they tried to use that person in my close circle that had the loss, that I was saying if there were a spiritual thing, it would have been something she did when she was younger. But I don't even think it's spiritual. I think it's literally just the issue she's had since childhood, the hernia that causes the connectivity issue. With her, why they tried to use her and weaponize her relationship against me and try to put her into the narrative was because it's something, again, that I set out in my mouth in my full story, trying to be candid and truthful. And this is, again, another situation where it's like, am I dumb? Why would I rat on myself? Had I, Yah forbid, done something spiritually wicked to her, why would I sit my stupid ass, and I would have to say stupid ass because I would have to be a stupid ass to do this? Why would I sit my stupid ass on camera and talk about the fact that I felt an envy towards her in those 2 years when I was a blackout drunk? If y'all listen to my full story, you'll hear about the details about that. Those 2 years, it was almost like my mid-20s. It was like the end of my early 20s and the beginning of my mid-20s when I was a blackout alcoholic. It was for 2 years. So when I was in Tallahassee, basically, and I had just moved back home, those 2 years when I came back, I was a blackout drunk. I became a blackout drunk. It was a mix of things, a medley of things that was happening back then, y'all. I was depressed. If you listen to my full story, you'll hear what happened with my ex. He led me on. In that situation, I was at fault because I broke up with him initially when we were together the first time. I didn't have malicious intent, but I think he took that the wrong way, the way the breakup happened. And so when he came back around the second time, he ended up, sorry for the TMI, but I've told y'all this in my full story already. He ended up doing whatever with me. I ended up, getting really messed up over the situation. And so, I was really depressed. I had gotten really skinny. The drinking had started, but I wasn't a blackout drunk yet. That didn't happen until I came home. But I was really depressed. I ended up, losing my financial aid. I had a 2.7, 80% grade point average. So a passing grade point average, right? When I was in community college before I actually moved back home and became a blackout drunk. But I lost my financial aid due to my disability. I have ADD and I've had it since childhood, diagnosed professionally. And I failed this math class. I've always struggled with math. This is how they knew I had ADD. I failed this math course multiple times. Not because I couldn't do the work, but literally I couldn't do the work. So it's not like my brain couldn't do it. I couldn't learn the material, but it was just so boring I couldn't focus. It was so bad I was actually skipping class. And I was going to all of my other classes. I had an 80%, 2.7 grade point average. But this math class, it was just so boring to me. And I didn't think that it was something that would make me lose my financial aid because I had a good grade point average. But because I had failed that class multiple times, they started doing this thing called completion rate. And so that's what made me lose my financial aid. So I basically would have to pay for the class out of pocket, and it was super expensive. I didn't have the money for it back then, y'all. And my parents couldn't help me either because at that time my younger brother had cancer. So they couldn't, they were financially in a tight spot too. Not to use that stimuli. Oh my God, the word tight. I've talked about that, y'all. It's disgusting. But they were in a spot where they couldn't help us financially. So I was working. You have to understand, I've been working since high school. And then even in college, I've working and, funding my way through college. I had an apartment with my older sister and she and I were working. She wasn't really working like that. It was more so her boyfriend. He was, funding things and I was working too. I wasn't with my boyfriend anymore, so he wasn't able to help. So anyways, all of that was going on. I had lost my financial aid, even though I had a passing GPA. So that was depressing for me. I was literally 2 classes away from graduating with my associates. So I was mad at myself because that forced me to have to take a break from school because I couldn't afford to pay for the class that I had failed multiple times. The thing with my ex happened. I was mad at myself for that too because I felt like I had sabotaged that relationship. And then he ended up using me and leading me on. So it was just a lot of distress going on, and then to the side, we had the little cyber stalking situation that manifested itself because that guy that I met via Instagram, he was kind of like a virtual escape for me from my horrible reality of what was happening in that time in my life. And so then when I came back home and, things went awry with that situation and then the cyber stalking thing started, it was just like the cherry on top of all the madness. And so I was just really depressed at the time. And then, I felt like the people in my close circle were not really listening to what was going on with that situation and not really validating my experience. I just felt like I was just in a bad space, y'all. Not trying to make excuses because at the end of the day, despite whatever was happening, at the end of the day, I drank. I chose to do it. I put the bottle to my mouth and take accountability. I drank. I get it. I'm just letting you know what was going on. Typically, when people drink, there's a reason. They're not just drinking for the blue of it. It's usually either depression or you have a mental health issue, whatever it is that you're dealing with, and you're self-soothing or self-medicating with the alcohol. And then also, too, I learned that people with ADD are more susceptible to addiction because we lack dopamine. in our brain. So we're constantly like craving a thrill or whatever it is and craving a rush. And so we can typically get addicted to substances more easier than your average person. So all of that came into play, y'all, with it, really. It just felt really good. I'm just being real with you. Drinking felt really good to me. There's no other way to really explain it. It just felt really good to me at the time. So when I got home, I became a blackout drunk. And in those 2 years where I was a blackout drunk was when I felt those feelings of envy towards this person in my close circle that they tried to paint the false narrative with. And the feelings of envy weren't malicious, y'all. They were guilt-ridden envy, because I had never felt that emotion before towards anyone, much less someone in my close circle. I felt guilty about feeling that way. I wasn't something where I'm sitting there seething, and the way they tried to paint it, like I was this malicious person in the dark seething and covert and coveting and like this weird creepy shit they tried to paint with their narrative. I've never been that type of person, and I felt horrible about how I felt. And really what it was the person in this older person in my close circle started treating me differently around this time because of the alcoholism and whatever was happening in the moment. And so she lived with me and this younger person in my close circle. And so oftentimes it would feel like sometimes there would be a comparison made, right? And she would say passive aggressive things towards me as it pertained to that younger person in my close circle. And again, I believe it just stemmed back to my alcoholism and her frustration towards me in that time in our life. I take accountability for that. But still, nonetheless, it didn't change the way that I felt in that moment. And so I did take it sensitive. I did feel sensitive about it. I did take it personally, and I did start to feel not anger, but an envy, and a guilt-ridden one at that, towards the younger person in my close circle. There was no anger there, and there was no malicious intent. And so then years later, when this thing started happening now with my targeting or whatever, you listen to my full story. Actually, listen to my commentating over a clip video, y'all, so you can hear about what started the fight and how it kind of like dug up those old emotions or those old feelings of envy towards this person in my close circle because of some comments that older person in my close circle made that I don't feel was anything personal or even specific to that younger person in my close circle and myself. I just think it's something she does. I realize that that's something that this older person in my close circle does, where she feels like the older relative is responsible for the younger relative. And it's like, you have to sit there and make them do their schoolwork. This kind of unrealistic ideology that she has. And I understand where she's coming from with it. But it wasn't anything specific to me and the younger person in my close circle, but I took it personally. And it reminded me of those 2 years where I was a drunk and I felt those emotions. And so that's what led to the fight that happened in the household. And so listen to my commentating over a clip video where I broke that down very clearly, y'all, what happened. I took that personally, the comment she made, and I took it out of context. She was just trying to say basically, and she was still kind of wrong, the older person in my close circle, for what she was insinuating that, I would be responsible for this younger person in my close circle doing well in school. There's but so much I can do. I can't tie her up and make her go to the lab. And then I remember that same person in my close circle that I'm talking about had a fight with the same person, the same older person in my close circle, because she was doing the same thing to her about the even younger people in our close circle and her expecting her to be responsible for them in school. So it's not the first time that a fight has happened because of that. But for me, in my particular instance, what it did was unbury or uncover old feelings that I had buried long ago. But it kind of reminded me, it was like this PTSD type thing where it reminded me of that time in my life where it felt like, she was treating me this certain kind of way as it pertained to that person because of the comment she made. And I realize now in retrospect, looking at it logically, that's not what it was. She was just making that comment because I was the older sibling. I was doing so good, y'all. I'm seeing this annoying gang stalker walking by again. And that's what messed me up. But I was the older the older one, right, in the situation. And so she just expected me to, get on her and make her do her stuff. And I tried, but there's but so much I could really do. If somebody wants to do their work, they're going to do it at the end of the day. And this is the same thing that same person in my close circle was saying about the younger people in our close circle, that she couldn't get to do their work either. She, just like me, tried to get them to go to the lab. And then from there, it was they're grown. So anyways, it is this thing that this older person in my close circle does, and it's coming from a good place, obviously, but she has to kind of, release the reins and let the younger people in our close circle be responsible. And so, like I said, it was just something I took out of context, and that's what created the fight in the household. But the fight was created, nonetheless, it happened, and I felt friction after that. I felt like a tension, and maybe it was just me being sensitive, right? But I started feeling like there was some sort of tension in the household. And that was when I started feeling like I was hearing the stuff outside the door. And so I felt like, well, maybe they're annoyed with me because of the fight. And now they're doing what was happening to me in the Airbnb to be spiteful. That was my mindset. I didn't straight up accuse them and say, you guys are out there doing this and that. How could you? I asked them, I insinuated. Yes, it was an insinuation, but it wasn't an accusation. So how far the thing went to the point where watch listed and all this and microchip and all, it's crazy to me. It's ludicrous. But anyways, I'm now talking about that situation again, y'all. And I'm supposed to be talking about this, but it's all relative, because this all relates to what I'm about to talk about, what happened now, not yesterday, now at this point, day before yesterday. And why I believe they did dream manipulation. The people in the fusion center that's watching everything and waiting for a moment to create a false narrative to try to pin me up. So they thought they could cycle this old narrative because of what happened and try to create something. And I believe they did dream manipulation on me. I'm like 99.999% sure that that's what it was. And I'm going to provide some evidence for you all. I had to talk about all this stuff I talked about there, though, y'all, so that you can understand what's going on here before I address this thing here, that caused the dream. So that same person in my close circle that they were trying to paint the false narrative about her loss with last year that I refuted, and they finally stopped, they still kind of insinuate stuff, but it's nowhere near as bad as it was last year, y'all, where they were hardcore, trying to pin me up with this lie. Anyway, so what happened is, I'm sorry, I'm looking at my notes. Not yesterday, like I said, it was day before yesterday at this point. It was raining. It was pouring cats and dogs. I work at night at this point. I don't work during the daytime anymore. I am working on going back to school and, getting a job during the daytime and, something that pertains to my degree and et cetera, et cetera. But for now, I'm just doing security at night. And I'm grateful for it. I've always done security. Even when I was working other jobs, I've always had security as supplemental income. It's a nice job to have. It's a secure job to have. It provides stability. So I'm grateful for it. But at this point, it's my only source of income at the moment. And so I'm doing that at night. And then during the daytime, like I said, eventually I would like to go back to school. And then, I'm still waiting to hear back from, the corrections officer job I applied to. I told you I'll keep you updated with that. There are other things I'm trying to do, but I just haven't gotten to it yet. So just doing security at night and during the daytime, pretty much free. I use the daytimes to work out. I'm training myself vigorously, y'all, and I'm seeing results too. So I'm training myself Monday through Friday is what I'm doing. I already told y'all what my routine is. I'm going to say it again. On Monday, I do my legs. I do a hardcore leg day at the gym. Tuesday, I jog. That's cardio. I just jog for 20 minutes. I'm not trying to do too much cardio because I am in a bulking phase right now where I'm trying to put the weight on. And so I'm trying not to do too much cardio. So 20 minutes, I jog on Tuesdays. Wednesday, I do leg day again, but a less intense version of what I do on Mondays and Fridays. I do a simple leg day on Wednesdays. Thursday is supposed to be a bike riding day. I am working on buying a bike, y'all. But since I haven't bought it yet, I'm using Thursdays as another jog day. So Tuesdays and Thursdays are my cardio days. But one of them is supposed to be a jogging day and one is supposed to be a bike ride day. Friday is my hard leg day where I'm doing hardcore legs again in the gym. So training myself vigorously during the daytime, y'all, it's like freaking like real, like not like I'm like a true bodybuilder, but I am doing that. It's like a hobby I've picked up because it's taking my mind off of the crazy shit I've been dealing with, but also it's a healthy hobby. There's like an ulterior motive to it. It's not just about bodybuilding and it being fun or the aesthetic of it because I like how it makes me look, but also it's about healing my body. Remember I told y'all what happened to me at the beginning of last year. What I suspect have been energy weapon attacks that took place last year, the weight loss, etc., etc. I've been working diligently to heal my body, regenerate cells, get my weight back, etc., etc. That's what it's about too. It's not just about the aesthetic. But then also too, like I said, it's just a fun hobby. I've always been into sports and athletics, and it kind of takes my mind or distracts me from what's happening, to be quite real with you. So that's what I'm doing during the daytime. And so day before yesterday, it was raining cats and dogs. And so a lot of, the government jobs on island shut down because the island was flooded. It was crazy, y'all. Like the whole neighborhood, the road looked like a river. It was so much wild. I wasn't even sure the gym was going to be open, And so the older person in my close circle, that I use her car sometimes, she came home. They got flooded out and she came home. As a matter of fact, I don't even think she went in the first place. I think school was canceled, from since Mornington. Yeah, she didn't even go in. She's a teacher. And so I remember being relieved because I knew I couldn't catch taxi in that type of weather. And I remember it would have been difficult to catch taxi with the way the road was looking. I remember asking her if I could use her car to go to the gym, and she told me yes. So I got ready, fully ready. And then she told me, you have to go get so-and-so, the younger person in my close circle. She's off. She got off from work. Sorry to stammer. I see somebody driving in, y'all. She's off. She got off from work. You got to go pick her up. I said, okay, no problem. Because she's like literally worked like 5 minutes away from the house. So I didn't have an issue with picking her up. Yes, I to be real with you, I dread going on the road with her. I've said this in prior videos. I'm a real person. I've been very candid about the fact that I dread going on the road with her because of what was being done to me last year. The heinous thing they were insinuating as it pertained to her, and how they weaponized the relationship against me because of my honesty and what I said in my full story. They weaponized that against me, and even the gang stalkers here on island were covertly and overtly too harassing me, like doing noise campaigns anytime she's in the car with me. We're having regular normal conversation. They're trying to create stuff from our conversation and revving by, and they're staring at us on camera, and I'm just feeling awkward and uneasy. I just didn't like, I hated it. And so now here in this new year, even though things are a lot better, I'm still just completely traumatized. I really just don't like going on the road with her. If the cameras weren't on us, things could get back to normal. But with the cameras on us and what happened to me last year, I am just, I'd rather not, I'm just being real. It sounds bad. It is what it is. I'd rather not be on the road with her. Listen, y'all. Listen to the rough campaign. You hear it? And this is what they do, right? They drive by real slow. They creep by on the road. And then they wait for a moment for you to say something for them to rev by for. This is why you heard me earlier in the video saying I'm seeing somebody drive by slow on the road. Because this is what they do. They'll drive by real slow. It's like a creep. The way I can say it is a creep. They creep by on the road real slow while they're listening to what you're saying. Live audience, y'all. Every time I do these videos. And the moment they hear something they feel they can rev for, they rev. Right? This is what they do. Anyways, so I'm just being real, and I won't be gaslit for my reaction to abuse. With what they did last year with the heinous thing that they were insinuating, with me being hit with what I suspect to be energy weapons due to the heinous accusation in addition to other things. Oh God, look, the garbage truck is coming through now. I already told y'all what happened with the garbage truck the other night. Hold on, y'all. Let me just let them drive by. I'm gonna pause the video. Hold on, y'all. Anyway, if y'all check out, I don't even remember which video I talked about it in. It was one of my recent videos. Something really gnarly happened with a garbage truck the other night. So I just be feeling like disdain when they driving through, especially when I'm making a video. Anyway, so back to what I was saying. What happened to me last year with the way they were revving on the road every time she and I were in the vehicle together, and they know full well what they were doing too. So it's gaslighting for them to rev by with what I'm saying. It's ridiculous. But the way they were revving by, right? And I made several videos where I talked about some of the weird stuff they were doing, even to the point where she and I were making a song together, and I was keeping beat for her because she's not good with keeping the beat. She was trying to do what I do, where I do like my poetry over the music. And she did it, and she writes really good poetry too. We're an artistic family. We're all writers in the family and artistic. She had written a poem, and she was kind of trying to copy what I do, or she wanted to try it out, what I do, with putting the beat over the music, except she doesn't have a cadence, right? So it's not like she's saying it to the beat necessarily, but she still wanted it to say it in a certain way over the music where it sounded good. And so she said, since you're good with cadences and beats and stuff like that, she said, why don't you time it for me? And so I remember, and I had recorded this too. I don't know if this was one of the videos that got deleted or not, y'all. But I have several videos still up on my page where I documented what they were doing as it pertained to her, right? Trying to weaponize that relationship against me out of spite. Because of what I said about my roommate, first of all, but second of all, because they're holding a grudge. And they saw that this was something that could hurt me because it was something I openly admitted was an insecurity of mine. So anyways, so we were in the room this time, not to go off on a tangent, but again, just giving an example, I always do when they gaslight me. We were in the room this time and this was last year, doing the poetry, right? Band up, I'm showing her how it works. And I'm keeping track of the beat for her. So the first time she did it, the thing sounded so dope, y'all. And so she's like, I just want to try it one more time. I feel like I could get a little bit better. So I said, sure, no problem. I'm going to keep track for you again of the beat. And so I did the same thing. I stopped her at the same point in the beat, y'all. And when we listened to it, it sounded off to how the first one sounded. As soon as and this was an old neighborhood, by the way, y'all, where they were doing a lot of noise campaigns. The neighborhood that I used to live in, where the, certain stuff happened that I talked about that they gaslit me about as well. So anyways, as soon as we heard it and it sounded off, somebody revved by super loud before we could even figure out why it was sounding off. They revved by as if it were something I had done to make it sound off. These are the things they were doing. Understand, all of last year. Right? So anyways, when we listen back now, we realized that it was actually her. She had said it different to the way she said it the first time. And I had actually stopped her exactly at the same point I had last time. And she said, oh, shoot, I said it a little bit too fast. I said it faster than I did last time. And I said, I said, wow, look at that. And I purposely emphasized that that's what was going on purpose to rub it in the person who was trying to be an asshole in their ass. right? The reason I'm getting nasty now, y'all, is because I heard a beep in the background when I said something I had done. They beep. They're just spiteful. They're holding a grudge and they're purposely doing stuff to malign me out of grudge and spite and bias and subjectivity. That's what it's about. And they realized that that relationship was something they could weaponize against me. I'm telling you, like an idiot, I was just being honest and candid and genuine and trying to tell my story because I really felt like something spiritual was at play and I was going through what I was going through. I told my story and talked about everything, even my insecurities, things I had been through, whatever. And they took those things and used it as bullets against me. So I regret it bitterly. I don't totally, because I'm glad I was real and open, and I'm always going to be grateful that I'm that way. But at the same time, not really. Actually, I'm a very private person, but I'm an honest person, always have been. And so now that I told my story and I was real about it, I don't regret it. I just regret the fact that I gave them bullets to shoot me, basically. Like, I literally gave them things they could use against me to malign me. Anyway, so that's just one example of one of the things they used to do. It's like several times that they did stuff like that. Like, we're in the car having regular conversation like sisters, and they're revving by and creating weird, creepy stuff from the things we're talking about. This is what they were doing constantly last year. In addition to the shadow networking that was happening, where they're sending me the subliminal messaging, hinting at heinous, creepy stuff, especially stuff pertaining to her loss. So understand the PTSD and trauma of me being programmed 24/7 for a whole year based off of that relationship that was weaponized against me. So I'm very awkward with her. Even still, is nothing like what it used to be. And it probably won't ever be until I can get out this dirty program. But anyway, so let me not start going off, y'all, because of the annoyance of the gang stalkers. Let me stop. Let me continue with the story. So I won't be gaslit. So this is why I don't like going on the road with her while these cameras are on us. If the cameras weren't on us, I would not have minded. I would not have minded at all. But it's like a movie, and it irks me. It irritates me that our life and my discomfort is entertainment for the island. It pisses me off. And so this is why I don't like going on the road with her. And really anyone in my close circle, really, I try to avoid going in the car with them, period, just because it's all weird. But obviously sometimes I need rides and stuff, and sometimes I'm not able to borrow the car. So I do what I have to do. But if with these cameras, it's just been miserable, especially with the things they tried to paint last year that I had to diligently refute. So anyways, this is what was happening when I picked her up. I didn't mind picking her up because that's like a little 5-minute drive. I didn't think that was a big deal. But then when I picked her up and I'm hearing that she needs to use the car and she has to go to this place, this is where I'm like, oh man, because not just me not wanting necessarily to be in the car long term because I know what they do, but more so just not wanting to have to get dropped off at the gym. I was looking forward to having the car so that I could leave when I was ready to leave. And so I was just like, okay, no problem. As I'm sitting there, I brought her back to the house after picking her up. Excuse me. And she had to go into one of the government buildings, and we weren't sure if it was open, but she had to go in because she was trying to make an appointment for something. And so she called them while we're, sitting outside the house. I'm sitting in the seat. I'm already hearing noise campaign going around while we're sitting there, them trying to make me uncomfortable while she's making her phone call. But I've gotten so good at my reactions, y'all. I still have them, but it's nowhere near as bad as last year. And literally making these videos have been the best therapy for me. So anyways, while she's making this call about the appointment, trying to see if she's going to be able to take the car and go into them. And so I'm kind of just sitting there in limbo, trying to hear if I'm going to get dropped off to the gym or if I'm going to be taking the car. Obviously the gang stalkers know I want to take the car. That's common sense. I wanted to take the car. So I was kind of hoping that the appointment thing would happen tomorrow, so that way she could take it tomorrow when it wasn't a gym day for me. But I wasn't sitting there anxiously thinking, please no, please no. I was just sitting there quietly while I'm listening to the noise campaigns in the background. And it wasn't a lot either, but they were doing like slight noise campaigns, like what they like to do to make me feel awkward about the situation. Excuse me. So anyway, she called, the government building, and they were telling her that you can't do a walk-in. You have to make an appointment with them in order to come in there and do whatever it was she was trying to do. So while she's trying to make this appointment on the phone disconnects. So she said, I just want to go in there and make the appointment. So I'm still going to take the car. So, as soon as she said that, they landed a drone on the steering wheel, trying to antagonize me because they already know me and they know that I wanted to keep the car. They know I wanted to go to the gym, but then also too, they know how awkward and uncomfortable I feel riding with her on the road with all of these people around us in cars staring at us like it's entertainment. It's understandable that anybody would feel awkward in that, especially with what they insinuated and programmed into my brain all of last year. That's common sense. What's funny, even night before last when I tried to make this video, there was this new gang stalker they had come out and walk by while I was making the video. And I was watching him. He was a new one. I haven't seen him before. And he was acting so awkward. As I was telling the story, I was like, y'all, look at gang stalker. And obviously he heard what I said because he started to act so awkward, y'all. And I purposely kept staring at him and talking about how awkward he was acting. And I said, y'all, this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. He knows I'm watching him because obviously he's listening to my video. My car is bugged. And he's acting so awkward with just me watching him. So imagine how I feel with all these people who don't like me watching me. It's common sense, the awkward reaction. They know it too. They're just being mean and bullies because they don't like me as a person. But anyways, so that was a funny little moment the other night that happened there that I kind of documented, but obviously the video got deleted. So anyways, they landed, that was the start of them sensitizing me to the relationship and kind of like waking up the trauma in me that's already still there, that's already very much so prevalent from what happened just last year and what they still kind of insinuate here in this year. Not necessarily the false accusation anymore, but still just weaponizing the relationship against me any chance they get. But it's nowhere near as bad as last year. I'm not even going to sit here in front. It's really not. But they still do weaponize it against me like what they did on this day that I'm talking about. I'm about to tell you what they did, right? So anyways, that was the first thing, them landing the drone on the steering wheel when she said she wanted to use the car still. So I was like, okay. I was like, oh, look at them already trying to make me uncomfortable. It's like they almost, I said this thing already and I said it in the last video too, and I have to say it again. I had said this kind of inappropriate thing, this forward thing, but it was like I was angry and annoyed with the fact that it really seemed like they get enjoyment out of my discomfort. The other day I said this, or I thought in my head, it's almost like they're getting like turned on. It's like this weird sadistic thing where they're getting like this sick thrill out of seeing me uncomfortable or seeing me in discomfort or seeing me unhappy. It's this weird thing. And then when I'm happy, it's like they're pissed off. Like they start revving by and doing all kinds of craziness or flying mosquitoes in my face and stuff. Like it enrages them. It's like a spirit on them where they want to see me angry. I'm like, you need to pray that off of you. If you feel like you need to see somebody down bad so bad, that's not normal, especially somebody you don't even really know. And so I remember that being the case. Like the other day when I discovered I gained 2 extra pounds. I'm now like basically 170. I'm really gaining weight in a good way, like muscle mass. I was just dancing an innocent dance in the kitchen. I was like, oh, I'm gaining weight. Because remember what I went through last year? I was skinny and not well. And so I'm just excited that I'm getting healthy and taking care of myself. And I've been working hard for the last 4 months, working out diligently, consistently. I'm now in the gym where I can, lift heavier weights. I'm eating healthier. I'm just excited. I'm able to get protein now. I'm happy about that. I'm dancing around. They start flying the mosquito drone in my face and getting enraged. Or the other night at work, I remember the same thing was happening. I was getting excited about this new workout routine I figured out that I was going to do for myself. And I was like talking about it in my head. Mind you, in my head, the bold audacity. It's not like I was saying it out loud, where there even still it's boldness because why are you listening? But I was in my head excitedly thinking about it. And I was just, like really like overthinking and excitement about this thing that I had written down for my workout routine. And one of the gang suckers got so enraged, it started to go, rah, 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 rah. I'm like, oh my God, you are so bold, first of all. You're in my head and you shouldn't be, weirdo. Now I'm getting disrespectful, and this is where it's going to now be monster bitch when I'm just reacting to what's being done to me. But you're in my head and you shouldn't be. This is literally like equivalent to rape, what's happening to me, because my thoughts are being projected. I was microchipped without consent. But you're listening to my thoughts, and you don't even have the decency to be quiet. You're getting mad because I'm excited and thinking, and you're revving by loudly for that? I couldn't believe it. But it's just like this weird thing. Like where I'm happy, it pisses them off. And then when I'm down or uncomfortable, they're getting like a sheer joy. It's weird. And I'm not saying they like it's all of them, but a lot of people are involved and a lot of people are down with that. Like I'm telling you. Anyway, so let me continue though, y'all. Because I want to hurry up and wrap this video up. It's going to be too long. Let me see where it's at. See, an hour 41. Let me try to hurry up and talk about this thing here that happened. I need to blow my nose, y'all. Give me 1 minute. Anyway, y'all, let me try and hurry up with the video because, like I said, I don't want this to be as long as the last one where it was like 3 hours and change long. So anyway, that was the start of it. Them landing the mosquito on the steering wheel, right? So I'm like, oh boy. Anyway, so as we're riding to the gym now, we're seeing the road is soaked in the neighborhood. We get out to the main road now. I'm seeing people drive by. I told y'all this thing that happened on Island when I first got back. And I realized that everyone around us in the cars around us, just like what was happening to me in the mainland, were familiar with what was going on in our car. Like the car was bugged. And of course, it's worse on Island because it's a small island. Everyone knows everyone. And this is a relatively new thing, this targeting thing. To my knowledge, I'm the only person to have ever been targeted on Island. So you have to understand this is like this big deal. This thing is happening. And I can literally see on the faces of the people around us that they're privy to what's going on in the car. And it's like freaking puppy show. When I first got back to Island in 2022, it was so embarrassing. And I really didn't even understand how the people in my close circle were okay with it. Because they're like me. They're like private people kind of. I was just like, what the heck is this? Again, why I felt like it was something spiritual going on. But anyways, when I talked about it in my videos, I noticed they started the gang stalkers trying to do this thing where they have like a poker face on. So as we're driving on the road and having our conversations, although we might hear a rev here or there, they're purposely doing this thing where they're acting like they don't know what's going on in our car. Like they're not looking at us, they're not doing faces, purposely acting like they don't know what's going on in the car. And still to this day, now that's how it is. It's not like when we first got back on the island where they were all like, so obviously looking in the car and like it was obvious that everyone knew what was going on. It's not like that anymore. They have a poker face on now for the most part. Every now and then you'll see somebody looking or whatever, but it's like a poker face for the most part. So now this day where we're heading out to the main road, I'm noticing people driving by. And it's not like they're looking in our car or anything, but I'm seeing smirks on several of their faces. It could be a coincidence, but I highly doubt it. I'm seeing smirks on several of their faces. I even saw this girl like holding her mouth like she's trying to stop herself from laughing. So I'm almost certain it was the mosquito drone landing on my steering wheel and the confirmation that I wouldn't be able to take the car to the gym and that I would have to ride for this extended period of time with this person that they've sensitized and weaponized against me. Right? And they know I've already talked about in my videos that it makes me uncomfortable because of what's been done and what they consistently do with the Rev campaign, what was being insinuated with the AI shadow networking software, etc. So anyways, we had down now, she's heading down to take me to the gym. And when we got there, she said, I really don't feel like driving. I really wish you could just take me to where I'm going and see if it's open. And if not, just take me home. I said, well, we're already here. I said, doesn't make sense for me to drive all the way there with you because she wanted to go all the way to town. I said, I'm already here at the gym and I already like to go early too, y'all. I know this says emptier when I go earlier. So I really was trying to go just when I was there, right? Just then. So I was just like, I'm already here. It doesn't make sense for me to leave now. And I said, so if anything, it's only going to take me an hour and a half to work out. If you don't feel like coming back for me, you can have mommy come back for me. Sorry, I'm not, well, this is okay. I'm not saying anything bad, so I can mention relationships here. But it's still, that's okay, y'all. It's not a big deal. I've talked about these things in prior videos anyways, y'all. But still just trying to be careful about, certain things and not trying to reveal certain things. But anyways, whatever. I said you can have the older person, one of the older people in my close circle, come and pick me up if you don't feel like it. As soon as I said that, somebody in the parking lot, this dude in his car goes, run, 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 run. Rev campaign, and obviously it was because I was saying if she doesn't want to come back, literally in response to what she just said, I said, if you don't want to come back for me, you don't feel like driving, whoever wants to come for me can come for me. Just in an hour and a half, no, I'll be ready. Again, trying to create something, the same thing they used to do to me last year, the same reason why I don't like riding on the road with her, because I hate the poppy show and the annoyingness of it all. Revving by trying to create something. It's like, you look stupid, because even if you're trying to rev campaign and antagonize me about the situation, at least wait for something that makes sense. Like, you're revving by to something that you heard me clearly respond to. You literally just heard her say she doesn't feel like driving. You know why I said what I said. That was a dumb moment to rev by. Like, you couldn't have made it more clear that you just wanted a moment to try to annoy me. At least wait for something that makes sense. Is how I felt. It was so annoying to me. But again, just a reminder of why I don't like riding on the road with her, and I don't feel bad about it because it's what's being done. And I hate the covert harassment and the fact that it's like a movie. And it's like this, my discomfort is like enjoyment in a way. It's just terrible. Anyway, so that triggered the thing in me, right? And so as I go into the gym, now her name is popping in my head. The same psychological tick thing that happens where people's names be popping in my head and stuff, and then programming me to certain things too, stuffing stuff down my throat. Like I said, like the ad thing, once it's programmed into your brain, it's going to start stuffing into your head, right? So now her name, just at the very beginning of the gym, started stuffing into my head. And I'm like, oh my God, now look what's happening, because that stupid moment with the Rev campaign. So I'm sitting there doing my leg extensions, right? Getting warmed up, doing my workout. And her name started popping in my head, but it didn't last long, thank goodness. But something else embarrassing happened. Then I saw this guy in the gym. I don't know him like that. I literally just have worked, I wouldn't say worked out with him, but have worked out in the gym while he was there 2 times, right? The first time I ever went to the gym, he was there, and he was kind of showing me how to use some of the machines. It wasn't just him. There were several guys in there that were being really helpful and showing me how to use the equipment. And then shortly after, I realized that he was on my Facebook. Like, he sent me a friend request. And so I was like, oh, this is the guy from the gym. I recognized the face. And so I learned his name. I was like, oh my God, I know his name now. I know that's not a big deal typically if you're not targeted. But for me, learning people's names has been a nightmare. Because this weird thing happens when I'm around the person, whether it's a negative relationship or not, whether it's a good relationship or not, whether there's any emotion there or not. It's this weird thing where, because I know my thoughts are being projected to the people around me, oftentimes when my brain starts to tick and wanted to make the thing pop in my head just now, y'all, the name will start popping in my head incessantly. Like, and it's a psychological thing. And the more I try to pop it out, the more it's popping into my head. And so I remember freaking out, like his name started popping into my head. So instantly the other stimuli that was popping into my head with that person in my close circle stopped. And his name was popping into my head like crazy. And then to make matters worse, not no disrespect to him, it wasn't anything bad he was doing. He showed me again, I was trying to do a workout, I wasn't doing it correctly. He came over and was kind of showing me how to do the workout. And the more he's showing me, the more his name is, and I'm just like sitting there tormented. And I know he's probably hearing it. And I'm trying so hard to stop his name from popping in my head. But because I know the name, I just could not stop it. It was just popping in my head. And so I was just like ticking in the gym. Like it was a hot mess, man. I'd be so happy I don't really know anyone in the gym's name like that. But now that I know his name, it's this thing that, like, now that I saw him, because trust me, even after I had worked out with him and I learned his name, because he wasn't there, the name wasn't popping in my head. But when he was there and I saw him, this was when the thing was popping in my head like crazy. I was like, oh my, this is so embarrassing. And I know my thoughts are being projected, but it's all psychological. It's a psychological thing. It's not my fault. It's psychological. So I remember it was just happening. I was so mortified. Like I was so embarrassed. And I was just still working out because I'm so freaking adamant about getting this workout done that even if something like that is happening, I'm going to stay there taking and get the workout done. Believe that. And so that's what was happening. I stayed there and I still got the workout done, even though that was happening. So anyways, my goodness, y'all. So that little moment in the gym happened, that little embarrassing moment. And then she came and picked me up. The person in my close circle, she ended up being the one to come back and pick me up. So she picked me up, we're driving home, no issue. I'm not having any awkwardness despite what happened. Her name wasn't popping in my head, nothing weird. She starts talking about vehicles because she saw a vehicle that looked like one of my vehicles, one of the ones I used to have. And so we started having this conversation about vehicles. And I was like, man, I'm so sad about the fact I don't have that car anymore. And she was like, it doesn't make sense to cry over spoiled milk. I'd be feeling that way too about the 48K or 42K. I can't remember how much it was. She had won like a lawsuit, her and her fiance, because they had gotten in this car accident with this truck, like those big, huge trucks that works for those trucking companies. And so because that accident happened, it was a big, huge company, their lawyer was able to sue and get like a good little lump sum of money for them. And so I remember that lawsuit happened and they got like 42K. And so she was trying to use the money for when she had her, the loss that she had before the loss happened, when she had the child. This is what she was trying to save the money for. And so they were supposed to be buying a house together and stuff, but she kept holding onto the money rather than investing it or purchasing the house. She kept holding onto it because she was trying to wait for the birth of, what happened, and so basically waiting and waiting and waiting, money ends up spending away and dwindling away. That's just how it is with money. It can go quickly. It might seem like a lot, but money, it adds up. Money can go away very quickly. And so this is basically what was happening, y'all. She was basically saving up the money. Hold on, y'all. I'm seeing somebody that just parked here randomly at this random part of the parking lot. And I know what it is, y'all, because I'm seeing who's parked there. It's literally just another person that's offended by the things that I shared and trying to be spiteful. It's more stimuli, someone that, they sensitize me to race now too. They sensitized me to a lot of things because of the things that I said in response to what was happening to me. I talked about what happened to me in Indiana that led to the offensive content that I shared in my car in Florida. I've been very candid about the fact that I don't stand by the things that I said, and that I said those things in reaction to what was done to me. I didn't just talk about race. I said a lot of offensive stuff. I said offensive things about Christians. I came for a lot of different people, right? And this is what the grudge is about, that people are holding on to because of the offensive things I said, and they're negating the fact that it was a reaction to what was happening to me. This is why I'm so adamant about making these videos, y'all. So check out my gaslighting and programming of the targeted individual part 1 video. Anyway, so that's why I believe that little park there is happening. I truly believe that's being done out of spite. But let me continue, whatever. That's not going to stop me from saying what I'm saying. So anyways, so basically she was talking about the loss, right? And the fact that basically that's what she was trying to hold on to the money for. And so she wasn't able to hold on to the money because, first of all, not to tell her business or anything, but her fiance is kind of not really that good with money, where it's like they're kind of like polar opposite. She's more so like the kind that's going to try to hold on to her money and save and, plan and invest and stuff. And he's more so the kind that wants to splurge and, not to say like he's like reckless with money. That's not what I'm saying. But they are polar opposites in that regard, where he's more so easy to spend and she's more so the kind that's going to try to hold on to her money. And so this is what was happening. She was trying to hold on to the money and he was more so trying to spend, like, come on, babe, we got this and that, like thinking that the money's never ending. And that's what typically can happen when you have a large lump sum of money and you get it right away and you're not used to having that much money. It can get spent very easily. And so this is basically what happened. She was trying to hold on to it for the baby. He was trying to spend the money, not necessarily spend it all, but he's like, come on, man, we don't need to have the money tied up in like a little corner. We could pull from the money, and eventually the money got spent off. And so she was saying, this is what she feels about that money that they lost. It's kind of the same thing where it doesn't make sense to cry over spoiled milk. And so I was like, I understand. I said, I feel the same way. When I think about my cars, I could sit here and cry all day about the fact that I don't have them anymore, but I don't feel that way. I said, it already happened. I'm working towards the future now. And so that's what we're talking about. But as she mentioned the fact that she was waiting for the baby, now look, the car drove off right as I said that. See, I told you I was a gang stalker. And it was somebody, again, like I said, of a different race that I likely offended with the things that I shared. So it's being done out of spite. But anyways, as she mentioned the baby, that was when I ticked. I had this tick because of the programming. It's almost similar to like one of those movies where they hypnotize you and you hear them say the key word, whatever the word is that they hypnotized you to, and they say the word and then all of a sudden you go into this hypnotic state. Like there was literally this movie on Netflix like that. I believe it was called Hypnosis, or something like that. I don't remember what it was called. But basically it was like they had hypnotized this guy. He was like a therapist. And he hypnotized this girl, and she didn't even realize that this was what he had done. Like she knew he had hypnotized her, right? It was like a form of therapy where he was kind of like trying to dig into her subconscious mind, and to see if she had any trauma or whatever the case was. But she didn't know the man had like ulterior motives, and he ended up like doing some weird type of thing that he did to her with the hypnosis, where he was able to say like a word and put her in this hypnotic state. And it's very similar to MK Ultra mind control programming, y'all. Similar to ads. Ads are based off of that model of the MK Ultra mind control programming, where they program your brain and sensitize you to whatever stimuli it is. And if you even hear that word or you see whatever it is they sensitized you to, certain things can pop into your head. Or naturally the thing can pop into your head because they're stuffing it in your head 24/7. Let me reiterate again. When you're sitting in the movie theaters and you're watching a movie, right? And they put an ad on for a minute, and you watch the ad, then all of a sudden, while you're watching the movie, the word Coke might pop in your head and you don't realize your ass just got programmed. It's the same thing with this program, but it's way more invasive, y'all. Whatever it is that they're trying to sensitize you to, and for me, it was a heinous thing with that accusation. They were stuffing it in my brain 24/7 for a whole year, y'all. It was so traumatizing, in addition to what the external gang stalkers were doing to me. It was so traumatizing. Right? And so they're stuffing the thing in my head all day long, these weird, creepy ass things they're painting with their technology. It was so freaking traumatizing, y'all. So understand that when that thing is mentioned, easily what they were stuffing into my brain for a whole year, all day long, with their technology, can pop into my head. That's common sense. They program my brain. And not only that, they traumatized me. It's PTSD. So the moment when she was mentioning the money, I wasn't having a tick. But the moment she mentioned her loss, my brain started to tick. This thing that started to happen to me. And of course, the gang stalkers are sitting on ready waiting because they're holding a grudge. They want that to be the case, right? So as soon as that happens and we pull up to the house, all of a sudden I see this big black fly land in front of me. I'm like, what the hell? It's the insect drone. But instead of the mosquito, they used the black fly this time. So I'm like, what the hell is this? I'm like, are you kidding me right now? I'm like, it's obvious why that just happened to me. You literally programmed my brain all of last year, stuffed it up with stimuli with that heinous accusation, which I already refuted in several videos. Like I said, if it is spiritual, which I don't believe it is, I think it's just an unfortunate event and genetics. But if it is spiritual, it would be something she did, not I, where she did that, like I said, I told y'all what I read in that Return to Sender book, right? At the beginning, that warning that lady gave, that if you mess with this stuff and you don't know what you're doing, it can actually cause something to happen to you. And she specifically talked about that specific thing in my evidence part 2 video. She talked about that can happen to you if you mess with this stuff. Like love spells particularly is what she was talking about. I was like, the most I must have made this come, made me find this, And so I made that video about that, in my evidence, disproving new evidence to disprove new allegations against me part 2 video. I showed y'all the video I came across by accident. Now that was true divine intervention. It wasn't their technology. That was the most that made me find that. Where this lady on Instagram was talking about messing with love spells and stuff and how it could cause that type of loss or whatever. Not to be insensitive, because I actually don't think that's what's going on with her. I think it's just genetics. Like I mentioned to y'all, what the doctor told her is she has a connectivity issue with her tissue, and it stemmed back to childhood when she had the hernias that she had to get surgery for. So this is not even anything that I believe is spiritual. I truly believe this is just an unfortunate case of genetics. But if it were spiritual, trust me, it wasn't me. It's likely something she did out of ignorance in her youth when she was a teenager. So this is nonsense, right? What they tried to paint. But again, it's similar to the text message thing where they created this weird, gnarly narrative. And so where did you pull this from? Like, what depth of hell did you pull this shit from? You know, with their technology, they're able to do that. It's so creepy when they want to frame you. Anyway, so let me continue though, y'all. So anyways, this is what happened. My brain started ticking because of the programming and them stuffing that evil shit in my head all day long. No matter what I put on, they were sending that stimuli to me incessantly last year, in addition to the external gang stalking that was happening anytime she and I would leave the house. So my mind was thoroughly programmed with the false narrative, and I'm still traumatized. That was just last year, y'all. They're still doing stuff. I just told you what happened before that moment happened with the revving in the parking lot outside of the gym, right? And then the other thing that happened before we left the house where they landed the drone on the steering wheel. So they already had started gearing me up to feeling that kind of way and that trauma, right? And so when we had the conversation and she mentioned the stimuli, my brain started ticking. That's common sense that can happen, right? And so the moment that happened, it wasn't even a major tick, but it ticked. The moment that happened, they landed the big nasty fly drone on the dashboard. And so I got pissed, y'all. But I was like, I'm not making another video about this. Like, I already knocked this shit down in several videos. I know they know in their heart of hearts it's not true. They're just being spiteful. I'm like, I'm not knocking this thing on again. I said, I don't care. You know, I said, this is the programming. They know what they're doing. I don't care. This is how I felt. And so I went in the room and I was just good with that. I was going to leave it as that, y'all. I was not going to make a video about it. I was good. They start as usual. You know what they do? They grab stuff, the people in the fusion center that's watching my every move, that's waiting for a moment to try to create stuff, that created that weird narrative in the first place with their technology. They instantly started to program and send me videos with stimuli in it to sensitize me about the witchcraft allegation. Let me show you what they sent me, right? Now I'm on 5%. Let me try to hurry up, y'all, and finish this video. Oh my God, let me hurry up. Where am I at to? How long is the video? 2 hours long. Let me try to hurry up. I just want to show y'all what they sent me. So you can see they already instantly started to, program and send the stuff, right? Let me show you real quick. They sent me this, the Kenya Moore video. Where is it? It's not that one. It was a part 2 video. Oh gosh. I'm trying to hurry up because my battery's about to sing out. I'm on 5%. That's all part of my magic, sweetheart. You're just jealous because that's the part there, right there, y'all. So basically, this girl in the yellow, right, and the girl in the blue, and I can't play any more of it because they'll try to strike me with copyright. Remember that they're trying anything to get me to not post this video, so they'll try to do copyright. So I'm not gonna play any more of the video. But you heard what she said. That's all a part of my magic, sweetheart. All of a sudden, they're sending me videos about magic because of that little moment that happened in the car. They saw that as an opportunity to try to push that narrative again. And this is constantly how it is, y'all. This is why I said it's like fighting a malignant growth when you're in this program and they have these cameras on you and this endless access to you where they can constantly try to spin narratives and use your trauma-based reaction as indicative of guilt when they know that's not what it is. And they'll take it and they'll try to create and spin these evil narratives and utilize your reaction to do it and their technology. So the moment they got that little reaction in the car, they tried to run with it and immediately started sending me sensitization about the magic thing again. They hadn't sent me nothing like that in a while. They were sending other creepy stuff, but not that, right? So all of a sudden now they send me stuff with the word magic. They did it again today too. Another video I'm about to show you with that same girl where her saying magic. I'm not gonna tell you the whole scenario because the battery's low, as y'all can see it's on 5%. So I'm trying to speed through. But basically, that girl in the blue that you said, that's all a part of my magic, sweetheart. She was kind of having a fight with this girl, here in the yellow. And so in that scene, you're hearing her just kind of saying, well, maybe you're just, you can't figure me out because that's all a part of my magic, sweetheart. But she used the word magic, right? So then today now, because they knocked on my video and they felt like I wasn't going to do another video to refute what they were going to try to do, they thought they would discourage me and knock my video down twice and I wasn't going to create it again. No, you got the wrong one. I'm going to sit here and create it as many times as I have to until I get what I need to get posted. Anyway, so then they sent me this video where she mentioned magic again. I believe it was this one.
About Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 16. Not a lot. Oh, come on. I can say this. I know that they are closer to making a final decision on cast. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. And I think within the next 30 days, they will have finalized the new cast.
No, guys, what she's talking about, I know you guys are probably lost if you don't watch Real Housewives of Atlanta. She's talking about the reboot that they did. Basically, the ratings went down for the show. So they kind of shook up the cast, right? Shook it up. And so Kenya's one of the people returning. Portia, they're bringing back to the show if you're familiar with who she is. But they shook things up for the most part and they're bringing in a bunch of new people. And so she's just basically, that's what she's talking about in this little 2-minute clip. But I want you to hear the sensitization, the word magic that she's going to use. And just know that they all of a sudden, with their AI shadow networking now, started trying to sensitize me to the word magic again because of what happened in the car in that moment.
That's wild. Okay, so do you have an idea of when like filming would start then? I think the spring. Spring. Got it. I think soon. I think they're definitely I think they're 100% focused on creating a dynamic new cast with some oldies and some newbies. So we'll see. We'll see. Season 16 might just be as sweet as you want it to be. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Okay, so you need humor me for just a second. Okay. A producer calls you, Kenya, you've been on this show forever. You're a staple. We need your opinion. Yes. That's a very clever way to put that shady ass question. I've learned from watching you. They call you up, Kenya, we need your opinion. Are we bringing back Nene, Portia, both, or neither? Well, I pretty much know the door is closed on Nene.
No, mind you, that's supposed to be sensitization for me too, because they're constantly sending me stimuli like that, like the door is closed, or trying to paint these false narratives like I had some sort of relationship with them. I don't know these people at all. I don't know them from Adam's apple. I do not know these people. They literally started creating and simulating this weird shit the moment they got their grips on me when I was in Florida and I shared the offensive stuff that I shared in my car. And I reiterate, the only false narrative that they were using their technology to send to me via their shadow networking software, the subliminal messaging they were sending was about predators, lust, drunkenness, that type of stuff, because that was the only narrative they had at the moment. Then when I came home and took my big stupid mouth and said the things I said about thinking my roommate did witchcraft on me, they took everything I said and they carefully crafted this false narrative, several of them, y'all, several, and started to simulate and send the shit to me via subliminal messaging. They're really good at what they do, right? They were never sending me any of this type of stimuli when I was in my car in Florida. That didn't happen until I came home, said certain things, and they started to simulate and try to create stuff. But I believe the door is closed thing is them also trying to take a sub at me and again push a false narrative. But the main thing I want y'all to hear is the magic thing and understand that they're now trying to sensitize me to the word magic again.
I think Andy has said it out of his own mouth that, he's going to keep her name out of his mouth. So I think I have to say that's not a possibility. So you got to go with Portia. Okay. Okay. How would you personally feel sharing a screen with Portia again? I think we made great TV together.
Y'all heard that? So they use the word great. So again, understand they're also like painting the narrative that they're doing this to malign me because of my false. Them claiming that I bear false witness, and I already explained to y'all what really happened with that. I only bared false witness truly one time, but they're sensitizing me to the word great because of the cyberstalking, cyberbullying situation, right? So you hear they threw the great stimuli in there.
The best frenemy, some of the best times on that show has been created with me and Portia. Some of the most iconic moments have been created with us being on screen together. So I feel like that magic could still exist if she.
You heard that magic could still exist. I know, again, to the naked ear that might just sound like everyday slander, right? Or figurative language. Understand they're now sensitizing me to the word magic and sending me videos. I showed y'all what they were doing with the pig thing, right? Check out my example of shadow networking software video part 1. Check out the part 2. Check out the last video I posted, the part 3, where you can see how they will send me stimuli incessantly to program my brain and to sensitize me. Check out the part 1 video, y'all, with the pig thing, where I show you how much pig was in my timeline. I don't even watch stuff about pig. I don't even eat pork. This is similar to what they're doing here with the word magic now, to try and spin the new narrative, really an old narrative that they tried to renew because of that moment that I had in the car with that person in my close circle. They thought that they could turn it into something. And I strongly believe, I'm 99.9999% sure it was them, dream manipulation, sent me a dream the night after that thing happened, right? So you see what they sent me, right? So then I fall asleep. Hold on, y'all. Let me just go to I'm gonna pause the video. I'm gonna go into the office to charge my phone because I have more to say and there's no way I'm gonna be able to fit it in time with 2%, right? So let me go and plug my phone up. Okay, y'all. So I just wanted to continue. So I just wanted you to see that they were sensitizing me to that word, to the word magic all of a sudden. So then now, y'all, I get home, like I said, I wasn't planning to make a video. I was just watching my stuff, right? Watching my videos and trying to get to sleep before work. And I fell asleep and I had this very vivid, scary, creepy dream, y'all. And typically when you're microchipped the way that I am, and you have a very gnarly, vivid dream, it's 9 times out of 10 dream manipulation. And it's the kind of dream that I had. I mean, it directly pertained to what had just happened in the car. I mean, it couldn't have been more obvious about the fact that it was them. Also, the fact that I showed you already that I attempted to make this video twice, and they literally, instead of trying to knock it down for a bogus reason, they wouldn't even let me get it to YouTube, y'all. They kept corrupting the whole app and making it be unsupported media because I was able to break down what was being done. Anyway, so let me tell y'all about this dream. Now, it was very creepy. One of the most creepy dreams they've sent me, and they've sent a lot. They're very creative. This one was very creepy. So basically, I was sleeping, right, and I was in this room, and it just had like this ominous feel to it. You know, it just had this weird vibe, and I was hearing this weird sound. I couldn't even really distinguish what the sound was, but it was this weird, creepy sound. Hold on a second, y'all. Give me a second. Sorry about that, y'all. My coworker had come into the office briefly, and I decided to just leave the phone charging, and let it charge up fully, and then just come to my car and finish the video. So anyway, as I was saying, y'all, in the part of the dream where I was at, so it was like this ominous feeling automatically, like when you're having a scary dream and you can already tell, like, off rip it's gonna be scary. It's like that feeling that you feel, that extra sense, where you just kind of like the hair standing up type of thing. That's what it felt like. It was like this ominous feeling. And so it was like this like dreary room that I was in, and I was hearing like this weird sound. I don't even know what the hell the sound was. It was like this weird, indescribable sound, like this creepy, aura in the room, and then just hearing like this creepy sound. And so then my mom walks into the room and she says, "What's that?" And so then I look on the screen and I see the words black magic. And so I said, "I don't know what that is." And then all of a sudden there's a bunch of flies flying around the room. And so I said, "I don't know what that is." I said, "Ever since," and mind you, this is to tell you it was dream manipulation, because why would I say this? I don't know this to be the case. I said, "Ever since you played that thing, I've been seeing black flies everywhere." And so she said, "Yes, I do remember that." She said, "I do remember when I played that thing, the black flies were everywhere." And so I said, "Well, what is that? What's going on?" And she said, "I don't know. I don't know what it is." And then all of a sudden she disappeared, right? And the screen disappeared as well. And then it was like there was this entity in the room that I couldn't see, but I could feel that it was there. It was like this blurry thing that I could, like, that kind of way where it's like in a dream, almost like the best way I could describe it is like when you have sleep paralysis and you fall asleep on your back, and then you feel like this thing is pressing down and you might have a nightmare that something's on your chest holding you down. It was similar to that. It's just like I couldn't see it, but it was like I could kind of, like, it was almost felt like something was in the room. It was so creepy, y'all. Like one of the scariest dreams I have ever had. And they send creepy dreams with this technology. I definitely think there's a wicked, evil, spiritual element to this program. I keep saying that. This technology is blasphemy. Elon Musk, one of the creators of the technology, even said it's called summoning the demon. It's some sort of weird shit with this program, y'all, and this technology. Anyway, so I remember just feeling this weird entity, and my mom was no longer in the room. And so it kind of felt like it was consuming me in the room. It was this weird thing, almost similar to, like I said, sleep paralysis, where you're feeling like the thing is pressing you down, except it wasn't like physically coming towards me, but I was somehow feeling like encapsulated in this room. And so I remember I started praying, boy. I started to pray and I started to pray and I started to pray. And I was praying to the Most High and I said, "I'm so sorry." And this is what I say. This is my name for the Most High. Yeshua is Jesus, same thing, just a Hebrew name for it. And Yahweh is God. That's literally just the original language was Hebrew. So it's the same thing. It's the same God, same Jesus, just a different language, right? So I started to pray, boy. I started to call Yeshua's name and I called Yahweh's name, right? And I was calling his name and I was praying for guidance. I was praying for forgiveness. I said, "Please forgive me for not having faith." I said, "Please protect me, keep me safe and protected." I said, "Please forgive me for not having faith." And what I'm talking about is last year, y'all, when I lost faith and I downloaded the Return to Sender book, read the whole thing, and I've repented for that already. I looked into astrology, just trying to figure out why this crazy shit was happening to me, because I really felt like some sort of weird shit was on me. So I was praying, y'all. I was praying and praying, and then I felt the thing like starting to release me. And then I woke up in the midst of the prayer, right? And so it was just so weird and creepy. I was like, I have to document this. I was like, this is creepy. I have to document this. And what are the odds that I would have this type of dream that directly correlates with what happened in the car, right? And then putting the little insect drone, the fly drone on the dashboard. Then all of a sudden I come home, they're using their AI generator, right? Remember, this is a technological program. It's basically a computer simulation. You're completely locked in. They're using their technology on you. They're using insect drones on you to surveil you. They're using an RFID chip that they've inserted into you without your consent to neuro monitor you. They're watching you on these cameras, making noises externally, hacking all of your technology. It's really a computer generated psychological warfare program. It's very invasive and it's very creepy and high science. So, anyways, after I woke up, I was just like, what are the odds that I would have that kind of dream? And it was so vivid too. After they literally just sent me all that stimuli before I went to sleep. And that stimuli was sent after the moment I had in the car with that person in my close circle. I'm like, come on now, you couldn't have been more obvious that this was dream manipulation. I can't concretely prove that that's what it was. I can prove that I'm targeted. I can prove that dream manipulation exists, but I can't concretely prove that this is what they did to me, because remember, it's all intangible, covert forms of harassment, and that's why it's so effective. It's called soft warfare. So I just wanted to show y'all something. I downloaded some stuff to show y'all as evidence. I've already posted this in several of my videos, y'all, but still, just to have it in this video to validify what's being said here. Let me show y'all. First of all, let me show you the patent for this technology. Let me start there. It's cutaways back. Yeah, I took this screenshot a while ago, and there are several patents out there, by the way. This is a Google patent. Google is not going to upload a fictitious patent. It says patent US 6506148. Nervous system manipulation, right? Nervous system manipulation by electromagnetic fields from monitors. So, in other words, brain to computer interface, the DARPA technology that's utilized on targets. They microchip you with the RFID chip via these insect drones. I've talked about this in several videos. Y'all check out the links in the description box where that information is located. They inject you with these insect drones, right? And then the microchip somehow morphs with your nervous system. It's so small and microscopic, just like the nanobots, that it can cross the blood-brain barrier and connect to your nervous system. And from that point on, you become transhuman. You are now part human, part robotic. And they hook you up to a computer system in these fusion centers. And from their computer monitor, they can read your thoughts. They can push thoughts into your head. They can control your body movements. There's a plethora of things, y'all. They can download dreams to you and interact with you in these dreams. The possibilities are endless with this technology, y'all. It's scary. We are in some scary times. And they do this without your consent. It's so dystopian, y'all. Anyway, so let me show y'all now a video. This is a video that I have located in the description box in the comment section, y'all. And it's posted on my channel. And it's titled Evidence of Mind Control Technology Used on Targeted Individuals. It's 58 minutes long, y'all, and it has pertinent information for targets. So check out the whole thing, please. But all I'm going to do is fast forward to the portion that I want you to see, where a popular YouTuber was talking about the capability of this technology. And then I'm going to share the account of a fellow target who has also dealt with the dream manipulation. Hold on a minute. So I'm not sharing the whole video with y'all, but please, I urge you to check this video out. It's in the description box. That he has on his page that talks about this technology.
Something called psychoelectric weapons. Now you guys might be thinking, psycho what? And what can these weapons actually do? Well, this is where it gets super scary. They can do everything from controlling your dreams, controlling body movements, induce changes to your hearing.
Focus on the controlled dream and controlling body movement, y'all. And check out my story and one of the other narratives they tried to run with about something I did with my hand when I was being antagonized and harassed that I, up to this minute, can't explain why I did it. And they tried to run with that narrative as well. And I had a dream, a very vivid dream, y'all, a month prior, where I was floating over this naked man. This was the second most creepiest dream they've sent to me, where I was floating over this naked man. Him and I started having intercourse, and he was doing that thing with his hand. And then when I woke up, my ear was ringing, which is also another symptom of this technology, y'all. And I told my mom about it as soon as it happened. So understand they've been on a mission to freaking frame me up since I shared that stuff in my car in Florida, right? So understand the capabilities of this technology. They can frame you with it if they want to. Y'all heard that? So that's that, right? Now I'm going to fast forward to the witness account from this target. I'm not going to sit here and share the whole video like I said, y'all, but please check out the video. I have a bunch of info in this video, and it's only 58 minutes long. It's located in the description box.
Last night, they used dream manipulation on me again. I wasn't going to speak on it, but I needed to, because I know other targets get dream manipulation. It's essentially brain-to-computer interface, synthetic telepathy. It's all proven science with U.S. patents. You can look it up.
You see, you heard what he said. It's all proven science with U.S. patents. You can look it up. And I just showed y'all the Google patent. Google's not going to upload a fictitious patent. And there are other patents out there. Just do your research, y'all. It's all out there. There's a plethora of info out there. But really, you can just stay on this channel because I have so much info on my channel from doing diligent research all of last year. I don't have all the answers, but I have a lot of info here on my channel.
Dream manipulation, where they impose different thoughts by using different hertz, different frequencies from a computer because it has your brain signature. This is how they're able to do it. And they manipulate your dreams. They impose false dreams, impose false images. Dr. James Giordano is one person you can look up if you do not believe this is possible. He's a neuroscientist because this is what it is. It's neuroscience. They target the brain. They get your brain signature, and they're able to do this. So this is all facts. Synthetic telepathy, brain-to-computer interface. If you're hearing voices and microwave auditory hearing, the Frey effect, US patents for it, you can look it up.
Now with the voices, y'all, he's talking about the V2K. Thank the most that that's something I haven't dealt with. You know, I keep praying that that doesn't get utilized on me. I've dealt with the other stuff, but the V2K I haven't dealt with, but other targets are dealing with that, where it's like emulating schizophrenia, right? And that's what this program is meant to do. It's meant to emulate mental illness. It emulates bipolar disorder because they can play with your moods. So one minute you might have like an extreme high where you're super happy, and then the next instant you're super mad and raging and pissed. That's happened to me. Where I'm like, why am I so angry? I'm not even PMSing. What is going on? And I strongly suspect it's them playing with me. But I can't prove it, right? But it can emulate bipolar disorder, right? It can emulate schizophrenia because of the V2K, voice to skull, where they can beam audible voices into your head. So it sounds like you're hearing voices. All symptoms of different mental illnesses, but it mainly emulates more than anything else, y'all, schizophrenia. And there's even this conspiracy out there that schizophrenia is a fictitious mental illness. And what it is the targeted individual program. And the schizophrenia moniker or fictitious mental illness was put out there as subterfuge to diverge the true what's real. Sorry, I got Bassity. Yeah, I saw a car driving by. To diverge the attention from what's really happening, which is targeting of an individual. You know, I even had created a video about that, y'all, that got deleted. I might create it again in the future with this girl that has a channel, a popular YouTube channel here on YouTube. And she's documenting her life as a person with schizophrenia. And she even did a video where she was doing commentary over a schizophrenia simulator video. And as she was talking about her experience, I was like, this girl is targeted. I was like, this is not a schizophrenic. She is a targeted individual. Everything she was saying, right down to being followed by ambulances and police cars. I'm like, girl, you are a target. It's either that she's a plant that they put out there on YouTube to kind of, like I said, create like a divergence from the truth and to insert subterfuge, right? To confuse people. either she's a plant or she's a true target that's been really gaslit. She really thinks she's schizophrenic, you know. And if she's a plant, she's a good act. She needs an Emmy award. The girl is a freaking good actor if she's a plant, you know, because she even had the dark rings under her eyes, which is what's making me think she's not. I think she's truly targeted and doesn't realize it, you know, because she even did this video where she has this husband, right, that married her. They're like newlyweds, and he seems like he's a gang stalker. They had a baby together, right? And, you know, some of the videos look lovey-dovey and nice, but this video that she was recording where she was showing the fact that she was having, like, supposedly what she was calling a relapse, right? Because she didn't take the meds or whatever. I'm seeing her in the room, right? And she's recording and under her eyes look dark, and she's talking about, it's a bad day, y'all. I'm having an attack, and I just want y'all to see what it looks like on camera. And while she's saying that, I'm hearing doors slamming in the hallway. And I'm like, is he noise campaigning her in the house? You know, and she's there, like, looking the hazardy, and talking about the fact that, she needs to take her medication, and she needs to go to the sorry, I heard a rev, y'all. Like, she needs to go to the clinic. Not the clinic. What's the place where you go where you have mental issues? Not the asylum. Not like they're putting her in the madhouse, but like one of those places where you get treatment. I'm having, not rehab. I'm having a moment, y'all, because I'm hearing rebbing. But basically, I think what happens is he gang stalks her anytime he wants her to take the medication. It's crazy, but it's like he's like forcing her to take like you know, poisonous medicine because of whatever issue he's having with her. And so he's choosing to target her, is what it seems like, is what it's seeming like to me. I don't know. I don't want to make assumptions. But that's what I'm gathering from what I saw. And so I'm just like, oh my God, like it's to the point where even your husband will do it to you. Like, that's crazy to think, you know, that's wild. And so anyways, I could tell she was a target, you know, and so I will probably make a video about her in the future if the Most High spares my life. But understand, this thing is really covert, y'all, and only the people involved, meaning the targets and gang stalkers, know about it. There are other people that just would not believe it because it's so unbelievable. And if they didn't see it for themselves, in other words, experience it for themselves via gang stalking or being a target, it's just unbelievable, right? And this is why it's so important, the documentation and providing the patents and the evidence that this thing is real and it really exists. Because it's so freaking unbelievable. If you don't experience it, you would not believe this shit. I didn't even know this thing existed. I was here on Earth for 29 years and did not know about this shit. I just learned about this in 2020. Really and truly, I just learned about it in 2022. I experienced it. I started experiencing it in 2020. I just learned about it in 2022 when I left Island. The thing blew up, and I came back and did research and realized, oh my God, I'm a target. You know, I'm like, what the hell is this? And me of all people? You know how much crazy stuff has happened on this island? I can't say it enough. I'm like, me? I'm the target? I'm like, what the hell is going on? But understand that's what's going on. So anyways, let him continue saying what he's saying, and then I'm gonna because I want to hurry up and wrap up the video. And there's one more thing I want to share with y'all. One more shred of evidence. Actually, 3 more pieces of evidence. So let me hurry up with this. So when he's talking about the hearing voices, he's talking about the V2K guys.
Everything I'm saying is all facts. It's all factual. I know it's been done to me. It's been done to other targeted individuals.
Hold on, y'all. I'm just gonna move to when it gets this time close to the shift ending, I move to the front of the building so I can see when the guard comes in, because I usually leave 10 minutes early so I can get the vehicle to the person in my close circle because she's a teacher. So hold on a second, y'all. Okay, y'all, let me let him finish. I'm not gonna finish like I said the video, but I just wanted to finish this part where he's talking, and I'm gonna say a few words myself. You're gonna hear me talking in the video, and then I'm gonna stop this video and show you a couple more things. In the past, year after year, decade after decade, a lot of people from the bioethics committee hearing back in 2011 when Obama was in office spoke about dream manipulation also. So it's nothing new. Y'all, you hear him mention Obama. I've talked about this in several videos that Obama signed the Brain Initiative. Look that up. Look up the Brain Initiative that Obama signed. When he signed that, the amping up of targeting and the amping up of this program happened, right? So once that was signed, you know, you saw an amp up in targets, right? You saw an increase in targeted individuals. This is what happened when that bill was signed. So Obama was a big factor in the targeting in America worsening, but he's not the start of it. It's been around for decades, y'all. And it's all over the world too. It's not just in America. There's another thing I'm going to share with y'all in another video that I posted with a document from India. So give me a minute. You know what's going on? The synthetic tinnitus, synthetic telepathy, all this stuff is man manipulated. So I always got to say, do not fear these people. This is what they do. They do this to impose fear, to put you in a different state. Now let me reiterate it again, guys, because I have to keep saying that because they run with things when I share these videos or when I do my videos. I don't word things the same way he is, and I'm not coming for him or disrespecting him. He's given good information, and he has his own experience and his own story to tell. But I'm not trying to speak this day and impose fair stuff because it's not like I'm anti-government. I'm not. I'm anti this program. It's being used illegally on me. I'm being covertly harassed, right? And so this is why I do what I do as far as these videos go. But I'm not anti-government, and I never have been. You know, I actually contemplated joining the military several times. You know, I even showed y'all those emails shortly before I graduated from college. Sorry, y'all, I'm trying to move up a little bit here because I'd be feeling awkward when I'm talking and I'm like facing somebody. I don't like that. So I just want to move my vehicle up a little bit. So hold on, let me rewind it a little bit again and play. Impose fair stuff because it's not like I'm anti-government. I'm not. I'm anti this program. It's being used illegally on me. I'm being covertly harassed, right? And so this is why I do what I do as far as these videos go. But I'm not anti-government, and I never have been. You know, I actually contemplated joining the military several times. You know, I even showed y'all those emails shortly before I graduated from college and right before I became a target. So I'm not anti-government. I don't have an issue with the government. I have an issue with this program that's being used illegally on me. So I'm not with this they talk. I do think though when he's saying they, I think he's talking about the higher ups. So not the people, the face of the program, the main people in the mainland that run this thing. You know, that the DARPA scientist Robert Duncan talks about in that video that I shared. You know, the people that have an agenda with this technology. I think that's who he's talking about. The people in the fusion centers, y'all. The people, whatever agent was assigned to your case, that's really running the experiment, not the external face of the program, not the gang stalkers that have their own little personal vendetta against you for whatever grudge or personal feelings they have. I'm talking about the real people that created this thing.
Manipulation when your mind is at a different level, like beta, theta, different levels when you rest, and they're able to do it. It's able to get manipulated like that. So dream manipulation is very real.
Sorry guys, I don't mean to keep pausing. This is the last time I'm gonna do it. But you heard how he said it's somehow like they're able to manipulate the brain when it's resting, right? This is how I believe they're able to control your dreams. But also I've told y'all I've experienced thought manipulation during those times. I've told y'all in several videos, I don't remember which ones, in several of my actually one of the videos where I'm gonna share a clip of it from next, my part 3, gaslighting and programming of the targeted individual video. I documented two incidents, where thought manipulation happened. I documented it. So I'm gonna share that video, a clip of it with you next, y'all, and you can check that video. I don't have it in the description box. I have the part 1 to that video in the description box, but you can see my account or hear my account, with thought manipulation. Prior videos that usually when I'm falling off to sleep or when I'm waking up, I'll hear like a thought in my head that I didn't think. And so I'll sit up immediately and freak out. As a matter of fact, I know exactly which video I talked about it in. Wait a minute. It happened to me last night, y'all. It happened to me just last night as I was drifting off to sleep. I remember it happened. I was watching a cooking show and this thing, I'm going to repeat it, popped in my head. I said, I didn't think that. I sat up immediately. I said, I didn't think that. And that's the first time in a long time that it's happened to me. It hasn't happened aside from that moment last night since last year. There are times in the day where I'm like having those psychological tics that I just told y'all about earlier in the video, like where I'm hearing people's name pop in my head and I can't stop it. These embarrassing moments where things are happening where I'm not so sure if it's just psychological, like from them programming me, and then also just the idea of people listening to my thoughts causing some sort of psychological whatever, or if they're literally messing with me and pushing stuff in my head, because I've heard other targets talk about it. But concretely, I'm certain it happened to me last year. I documented it with my part 3 video. And then last night too, as I was falling asleep. But that's not something I've experienced often. It's more so the dream manipulation, y'all. That video that I did as documentation, where two of the words that they have been pushing at me to sensitize me, and I showed y'all evidence of that as well, that they had been sending it to me before those thoughts pushed in my head. Two of those words that they had been sensitizing me to for about 2 weeks pushed into my head when I woke up. The random... What I'm talking about is the same video I just referenced, the part 3 gaslighting and programming of the targeted individual video, where I'm going to share the document from India, a clip of it from that video next. That I didn't think pushed into my head. So check out this video, part 3 gaslighting and programming of the targeted individual, if you want to hear about that. And if you want to hear more info about those words that they were sensitizing me to and how they were doing it with their shadow networking software, then you can check out my part 2, gaslighting and programming of the targeted individual video. Let me also show you something else from another target. I've been carrying this screenshot around for months, y'all. This was another target, the one in the thumbnail that you see up on the screen there, that was talking about his experience with this technology. And in the comments, there was a target that was saying, I get very little V2K. They have done it to me when falling asleep and waking up. You have my sympathy, because I wouldn't like that 24/7. And I took a screenshot of that because I was like, damn, that's what happens to me. You know, I wouldn't call it V2K. I think there's a difference between V2K and thought manipulation. Same technology, and they are similar. But with the thought manipulation, what it sounds like, because I've experienced it, I don't want to bear false witness. Y'all know about when I say bear false witness, for those of y'all that are familiar with my story, you know why I keep saying that. Check out my full story if you don't know why I keep saying that. But I suspect, and I've actually documented it in that part 3 video I just showed y'all to check. I told y'all to check out the gaslighting and programming of the targeted individual. I suspect that they have used the thought manipulation on me, because I've literally woken up and had a thought push in my head that I didn't think. And I'll set up right away and be like, what the hell? I freak out about it. But then also, too, remember the MK Ultra ring. They're using MK Ultra mind control to program your brain. Because with the shadow networking software, and I talked about this in my 2 recent videos, the last 2 videos I posted before this one that I'm about to post, they're programming you. Every time they're using their shadow networking software to push videos with stimuli in it at you. For instance, in your recommended on YouTube, you're getting programmed. Whether it's subliminally or overtly, you're getting programmed. Every time you see that stimuli, it's programming your brain. These are the same things I just talked about earlier in the video, y'all. Similar to seeing a Coca-Cola ad when you're watching the movies, and then all of a sudden, halfway through the movie, you feel like you want a Coke. You got programmed, and that's what's happening with this sensitization and stimuli that they stuff down your throat 24/7. So I can admit that even that could have even been what caused it. It could have been that I was laying there programmed, and that thought just pushed out of my head because they've been pushing it in my head 24/7. But I'm gonna keep it real with you. I don't think that's what happened. I strongly suspect that it was thought manipulation, because they had been stuffing that stimuli down my throat for 2 weeks, right? And then I woke up, wasn't thinking about anything. When you just wake up and your brain is foggy and you're just like trying to catch yourself? That's what was happening when the thought pushed in my head. I wasn't even cognizant enough to think. And I heard the thought. I heard it. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like when you think a thought, but you didn't think it. That's what it was like for me. And I sat up immediately. I was like, what the heck? Both times, it's like, what the heck? I said, no way, these people are not framing me. And then I made that video and I provided evidence proving that they had been pushing that stimuli at me for 2 weeks before the thought pushed in my head. Those 2 things. So the thought manipulation is real. Y'all, thank goodness I document everything. I had even sent a text to myself talking about those 2 things that they were sensitizing me. I kept texting myself, and I showed the text in that video, y'all, that I had texted myself prior to the thought pushing in my head. Texted myself about the fact that they kept pushing that stimuli at me. And then that thing happened. I was like, yes, good thing I text myself. And it's in the video, y'all. This is why I do the videos, for my protection. And this target in here in the comment sections was talking about his experience with it every time he wakes up or falls asleep. So similar to what this target is saying in this video about the fact that there's something to do with sleeping, and this technology, it seems like it's able to work better when you're sleeping, but they can do it when you're wide awake too, believe it. But when you're sleeping, there seems to be some sort of, I don't know, it makes it more cohesive, I guess. I really don't know. I don't know how it works completely. I'm still doing research, y'all. And I used the wrong word there. I didn't mean to say cohesive, y'all. I meant to say effective. I don't know why I said cohesive. You play in the video.
Manipulated like that. So dream manipulation is very real. It's real science. They've been able to do this for a while now. They hide this information from the public. If the public understood what was really going on, it'd be uproar. I understand most people, when they leave high school, they do not dab into science anymore, so they don't believe science. When they leave high school, they do not, especially if they don't go to a secondary school, they just don't believe in science after that point. So a lot of things that people might speak of is able to be done with science today. In 2022, they won't believe you. So it's like you'll be speaking to people who don't have ears. They I understand what you're saying. Science has come a long way. Frequencies and hertz, neuroscience.
I feel like I have to keep pausing and pausing. That was supposed to sensitize me too, by the way, guys. That frequency thing he said. If you check out my videos, y'all will know what I'm talking about. But that's another thing that they didn't even really try to run with that as much. And that's actually something that really did happen. That's what I think is crazy. But around that time when the symbol was done with my hand, and they started to up the ante with the nano in my body, and it felt like I was being hit with microwave energy weapons. I talked about what started happening to me a few months ago. Thank the most time I'm not in that same state that I was in a few months ago. But that was around the time I lost. And when I said state, y'all, I didn't mean physical. I meant figurative, like that state of being. Thank goodness I'm not in that same state of being as I was a few months ago. Lost faith after those things started happening to me. And so one of the things I started doing was looking into astrology. And another thing was I listened to a frequency. But I realize now that they sent that to me. That was before I was aware of the fact that they were able to send videos with subliminal messaging into your newsfeed. That was before I had realized that they could target you through the TV, or as the correct term would be called, shadow network. Use their shadow networking software to basically send things to program you and sensitize you. And so I believe that frequency, I know that frequency that they sent was probably a part of the experimentation with this technology. Facts. And I talked about my experience with the frequency, so check out my videos. Guys, I'm going to pause it here and I'm going to continue when I get to the house because the manager pulled up and is going to take the key and I have to leave and get the car to my mom. So I'm going to pause, y'all. All right, I'm home, y'all. I'm going to continue with the video. Guys, my prior videos, if you want to hear more about that. I've talked about it in several videos, but you can check out my Part 1, More Evidence to Disprove New Allegations Against Me video to hear more about that frequency. But then there's also another video I talked about it in recently. I'm trying to remember which video that was. That was my Part 1, more targeted individual information video. So I've talked about it in several videos, y'all, and actually that's one of the things they don't focus on, and that's, oddly enough, one of the things I actually did do. But there was this meditation. It said quantum frequency. And it said that it would help you to get to the place you want in life. It's like a meditation that can make your life better, or whatever it was saying in the beginning of the video. And I listened to it. I was in a very low state at that time. I had lost faith. Like I said, I was looking into astrology. I looked into my birth chart. I was trying to figure out different things about myself to see if I could find out why I was being targeted. I talked about why I looked into those things, even in that video, that same video I just mentioned, because I saw in a fellow Target's page, Michelle Angelic's page, that she and her boyfriend at the time, or her friend, whatever he was to her, they were talking about the fact that he had read her birth chart and he was able to see why she became targeted. So at that time, I was kind of looking into any and everything foolishly. So this is what I meant, y'all, in the beginning when I was saying in the prayer, I'm sorry that I didn't have faith. That's what I was talking about. And I looked into my birth chart. And so that's how I was looking into the astrology. I just looked into my birth chart. But then also, too, around that time, that frequency was sent into my newsfeed. And so me not knowing that they were able to send stuff to me, to sensitize me and program my brain, I didn't realize that, and I was in a desperate state, and I listened to it. I said, okay, well, anything will do right now, right? So I played the frequency while I was falling asleep, and they said, just listen to this and follow my voice. It was called a guided meditation, and it was supposed to be quantum frequency, right? So I listened to it, and the guided meditation was basically just telling me to close my eyes, envision the things that I wanted in life, envision how I wanted my life to be going right now, just stuff like that. I talked about it in that video that I just showed y'all to view. And so I ended up listening to the video, and I was just envisioning things, envisioning myself living the life I thought I would live after graduating from college. Just a regular life, working a successful job, married, kids, etc., just the regular stuff any woman wants. And then I fell asleep and I woke up and my eyes were rolling up in my head. And I was going, and it was literally so bad too that I actually started to sit up out of the bed and I felt it happening and I shook it off and I said my prayers. And I had only watched about, you could say, 10 minutes of the frequency, and it was already doing that to me. It had already knocked me out and was doing that to me. And I said my prayers and I took it off. But there's something to do with frequencies and this technology. Even in that DARPA scientist interview, apparently it's Robert Duncan, like I told you all, he talks about quantum frequencies. In that video, the MK Ultra mind control video that I showed y'all I posted, where I showed a clip from DARPA and also a clip from Michael Barden, and I told y'all there was a third target in that video, and I don't remember his name. He's talking about quantum frequencies. So there's something to do with quantum frequencies in this technology, and they're using frequencies. Remember, you're chipped with the RFID chip. That's an acronym for radio frequency identifier. So they're using frequencies to control this technology. So it's all about frequencies. Hence the reason I'm trying to cut the frequency off, y'all. I told you I'm looking into shielding paint, right? So I can shield my bedroom. I'm looking into the mesh material where you can cut these frequencies off, and that way they can't remote control the drones that they're surveilling you with, nor can they access the RFID chip that's in your brain. There are tactics and countermeasures, y'all. Look into it. The Earth is on a frequency, a natural frequency. So what they're doing with this technology is they're emulating the Most High's creation. The Earth is on a natural frequency. They're creating these man-made frequencies. The brain is like a natural computer with your neurons and your neurotransmitters. They're creating fake, you could say brain-like technology with the nanobots and their computer systems, etc. It's all just emulation of the Most High's creation, and then they're bioengineering and connecting it and creating this Frankenstein type stuff, you know? So that's what's going on. But anyway, so I just wanted to let y'all know they were, I think, trying to sensitize me with that frequency word too. Because like I said, they did send this video in my newsfeed, and they used their shadow networking software to do it. So I believe they put certain keywords in, and videos pop up with those keywords in, and they throw it into your newsfeed. But I also believe they can actually change videos too as you watch it. That I haven't totally verified, but I strongly believe that from some of the things. Y'all, at this point now I have verified it. Check out my recent example of shadow networking software technology utilized on me. Check out my part 1, part 2, and part 3 video. The part 3 video is actually the last video I posted. I've proven that not only do they have the technology to send you videos with stimuli in it, in other words, putting in keywords and then having their generator find videos that have the stimuli in it already, but I've proven that they actually have the technology to change videos to cater to your targeting, to sensitize you. And it's not that hard to believe. With the brain chipping technology and all this other stuff that they have, thinking that they would have the technology to change videos is not really that out of sorts. I've seen, and then even on Truth Hurts Hypocrisy America, another targets page, some of the things he shared on his video, in his videos. I believe they have the technology to do that as well, which would be nothing. That's small cake, that's small beans compared to what they're doing, where they can chip your brain and do all these different things. Anyway, so let me go ahead and finish playing this video for y'all.
All this stuff is like valid when you talk about stuff like this. The everyday citizen in America won't know what we're talking about, and that's the sad part, because they're ignorant to the fact that this is going on and it's been happening for years. But the government and officials know, the intelligence agencies, they know that most people will be ignorant to this. So when you speak like this and speak of hearing voices with microwave auditory hearing or Frey effect, different frequencies, pulse frequencies,
I don't totally agree with him when he says that the government knows that people will be ignorant to it. I don't think so, because I know for a fact that my gang stalkers knows this technology is real. And they full on be doing noise campaign and guys, let me stop right there. I'm gonna let myself continue, right? But I kind of not want to recant the statement. I mean what I said, but I also understand where he's coming from. Now that I think about it, my targeting is unique. Remember, I told you that I'm like one of the only people, as far as I know, to have ever been targeted on this island. And my targeting is viral, so everyone on the island knows, right? And so they seem to be okay with the technology being utilized, right? But in general, speaking universally, most people don't know about this program unless they're a gang stalker or a target. They don't know that this thing exists. I did mention this earlier in the video. I was on this earth for 29 years and didn't know about this until I became a target. So understand what he's saying is true. A lot of people don't know that this thing really exists. And if they hear you talking about it, if they're not a gang stalker or a target, like I said, directly involved, they're going to think you're schizophrenic, because the things that you describe is what's commonly known as schizophrenia. So what he's saying is actually true. Part of it. So I don't think that the general population, I'm not going against him, because again, like I said, he's given good info, but I know why he would feel that way, because you are gaslit as a target and they will make you feel like you're crazy. So you might really think, well, damn, it's so unbelievable. Maybe they don't believe that it exists. But no, they know it exists. I know for a fact my gang stalkers knows it exists. So I don't think the government thinks that people will be so ignorant that they won't believe it. But I think that they know that typically people tend to trust their government. So they're going to go along with what the government says to do, even if it means using this technology. And again, I'm not anti-government. I'm just anti this program. And I have a right to have that opinion. I'm anti this program and I'm anti the use of this technology. That doesn't mean I'm going against the government. I have a right to have an opinion. But that's what I think is going on. I think people just tend to trust their government, and they're going to go along with whatever's being utilized. And I think that's what's going on. I don't think people are ignorant to the technology. They're very well aware of it.
Talk about dream manipulation, urge induction. People would not believe this is being done, especially remotely. But it's all science. It's all science. I think around the time when people graduate high school, the last thing they probably remember is like photosynthesis when it comes to science. And it's pretty much where the buck stops with science to them. But if you really dissect and understand the way the world works, everything is pretty much categorized with science. The government views science. MIT, a top college, views science. A lot of other people around the world, they hire the best scientists to work for them. So I don't know why people don't believe in science and don't understand how far.
I'm gonna stop it here, y'all, because the video is getting to be too long, man. I'm trying to get it under an hour, and already I only have 12 more minutes to do so, and I have 3 other things I want to share with you. So let me go to the other video, y'all. The one that I referenced a little while ago, the part 3, gaslighting and programming of the targeted individual, where I documented that manipulation. I wanted to share a document with you that I shared in this video. The document I referenced a little while ago. That's from India. Let me pause it while I look for the part, y'all. Physical injury / harassment through directed energy weapons. So yes, they have microwave weapons. They also have active. I'm going to fast forward this part, y'all, because I really just want to get to the part where I specifically talk about dream manipulation. But check out this video if you want to hear the whole article. Not article. It's not an article. It's a document. Denial. Just years now. Minimum evidence, if at all of anything not happens. Them really there's so that's why you've seen this guy RNM. Please focus on the dream. Okay. Justly. Anyway, so let me continue. Innocent civilians. The people targeted and subsequently tortured systematically are termed as targeted individuals, or TI. There are several hundreds of TIs defending and fighting for justice in India and globally across many countries now. Total surveillance, mind reading, body. Y'all, several hundreds is an understatement. I don't know what he's not to say I don't know what he's talking about, but this is just his knowledge. Remember, he's coming from his standpoint in India. There are millions of targeted individuals. I've shown the documents in several other videos. Check out that evidence of mind control technology video that I shared the clip from a little while ago. There are millions of targeted individuals worldwide, y'all. The thing is spreading like wildfire. Mind control, dream manipulation, using neural weapons, remote neural monitoring, module RNM. Please focus on the dream manipulation because I talked about my experience with dream manipulation, and actually, oddly enough, and I wrote it in my notes, what this video is actually about, what I'm going to talk about in a minute, the 2 examples of how the programming has been effective. You know, when I woke up, these weird thoughts that pushed into my head on 2 different nights that contained the stimuli they've been sensitizing me to. It came right after a very strange dream. Every time. Both times they came after a strange dream. And then I also talked about that strange dream that happened a few months before I did that symbol with my hand. And I woke up with my ear ringing. So they have the technology, the patents, to manipulate your dreams as well. And to mind control, brainwash you, MK Ultra you. Anyway, so using this, harassers can view all the innermost thoughts of the targeted person on a screen as clearly as one reads a newspaper. The eyes of the target become a live camera for the trackers. Whatever the target views is recorded on the tracker's computer or viewed by the tracker's brain using a brain-to-computer interface, BCI, brain-to-brain interface, BBI. This is why I was freaked out, because I talked about this in my prior videos. The fact that it seems like they can hear my thoughts and they're not listening on their cell phone, it seems like they're hearing it in their head. And to me, I'm like, did they take the chip, like, willingly, just so that they could hear my thoughts and be a part of this program? I keep wondering that, because I'm not privy. I'm on the outside. I'm the target, so I don't know how this thing works. But the gang stalkers know how this thing is put together, and from what I've gathered, I can at least tell that they're hearing my thoughts in their head. And I keep seeing several people saying that. So I'm just kind of wondering, did they take the chip? Is that how they're hearing my head? Like, did they really consent to that? I'm trying to figure this out. Anyway, let me continue, because that's what he's talking about here, how some of the trackers can actually see what you're seeing and hear your thoughts in their head. So that's where we're at right now. Anyway, these satellite-based technologies result in gross bypassing of fundamental human rights, such as personal privacy, health, safety, data security, family security, etc. Pre-packaged this is what I wanted y'all to hear. This is the part here. Pre-packaged dream sequences are routinely downloaded to TI's brains, and harassers interact with the victims while they are dreaming. Stressful traumas / shocks. Brain sequences, not sequences. I don't know why I said it like that. Are also induced via artificial dreams, completely wireless. This person said without any chips, implants, electrodes, etc. But I am aware of the fact that they have an RFID chip. But from what I'm understanding from different videos, we're now in the quantum frequency phase of this experimentation. So they've been doing the chips since the 50s, apparently. And let me show y'all the video where you can hear more about this, the chips, and the fact that they might not even need the chips anymore. I know I'm chipped because I got the thing in my finger. But it seems to me Y'all, even in that clip with the last target, what he was saying something about brain signature. That's what I heard being utilized in the video I'm about to reference now. So it's something I need to do more research, y'all. But it seems to me like they might not even need the chip anymore. It's creepy. Trying to figure it out. I don't know. I'm still doing research. It seems to me like the technology is so advanced now that I think they chip you just to get your brain fingerprint. And I think once they have the brain fingerprint, they don't even have to utilize the chip anymore. But I don't want to give misinformation. I'm not certain how this thing works. I'm still doing my research. But in this video that says stop manipulation document, no, wrong video. In this video that says mind control MK Ultra is the thumbnail, and you see the brain on the thumbnail, and then you see the title of the video is targeted individuals are victims of MK Ultra mind control. In that video, I'm literally sharing with you 3 different clips from 3 different targets talking about this technology and how it works, and the fact that they're able to now, at this point, not even utilize the chip. You see I know I'm going to stop there, y'all, because the video is getting too long, and even though I know this doesn't make sense, it's basically 3 hours. I just want it to not be 3 hours. So the other 2 clips I was going to share that I'm not going to share anymore, was these 2 videos that you see on the screen at the top. The world has ended. And that's a video from a fellow target's page where he shared a video from Dr. Valentine talking about the capability of the technology and how it's able to project thoughts into your head that aren't your own. And then you can see Michael Barden patented. Remember, I showed you the patent, y'all. Technology being used on targeted individuals, where he's talking about the same exact thing. Yet another target sharing his experience. And Michael Barden actually used to be a military agent that got targeted. So check out those 2 videos, y'all. Both of them are in the description box. Those are 2 of the pertinent information links that I referenced in the beginning of the video that I told you are included, that I always include in the description box in the comment section. So I'm going to close the video off there, y'all. This was just, I didn't mean to click on that. This was just documentation, y'all. More dream manipulation. I wanted to document it. And more evidence, refutation, and articulation. I'll talk to you on the next one. Peace out. Sorry, I didn't mean to click on that. Whoa. I didn't mean to do that. Sorry.